It is 6 a.m. from the 104.5 The Zone studios. Good morning. I'm Justin Hawkins. Tennessee baseball, they're moving on to the Supers for the 5th consecutive season. The Vols go on to take down in the Knoxville Regional last night, Wake Forest 11-5, including 2 home runs in the 4th inning by Manny Marin and Andrew Fisher, totaling 5 runs. Liam Doyle shut down Wake Forest with 5 strikeouts and 0 hits, pitching the final 2 1/3 innings. Tennessee now heads to the Fayetteville Super Regional to face Arkansas, which will begin on Friday. The Tennessee Lady Vols softball lost 2-0 to Texas yesterday as their impressive postseason run comes to an end. It will be Texas versus Texas Tech in the Women's College World Series Championship and a best-of-3 starting tomorrow night. In NFL news, a couple of retirements that came down yesterday. Detroit Lions center Frank Ragnow announces his retirement on social media after 7 seasons and making 4 Pro Bowls as well. Also, veteran cornerback Ronald Darby has informed the Houston Texans that he is retiring from the NFL after 10 seasons. Darby had signed a 1-year contract back in March in free agency with the Texans after he was released by the Jacksonville Jaguars. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you've got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Tuesday morning in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee, underway here on 104.5 The Zone. Good morning. Hope you're having a good start to your day. Let's make it a little bit better, shall we, over the next 4 hours. This is Ramon and Will, brewed by Scooters Coffee. Visit a locally owned Scooters location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. We have got another Tennessee baseball super regional as the Vols get the job done last night against Wake Forest. We've also got another hypothetical question for the show. What if, Ramon Foster, the Titans just made the playoffs? Is that so crazy? Playoffs? Playoffs? Well, we're going to tell you how they could get there if they were to surprise everyone and do exactly that on this Tuesday, June the 3rd, with the 11-year NFL veteran Ramon Foster. I'm Will Bowling. Good morning.
Hey, what up, Will? What's going on,
How
man? Man, I'm solid this morning, man. Up and ready to go. We spoke about how both our workouts broke us off yesterday, but
yes,
you know what?
It did.
I'm trying to be proactive as heck right now in everything that I'm doing, Will, health-wise, just so you know. So if you see me getting weird out here, man, listen. Okay. Just don't pay no mind to it. Just
define weird.
Weird. Well, one thing, I'm most definitely taking all of my vitamins and supplements I'm supposed to right now. And I'm taking like this, who was it? It was one of the big box stores is selling like these probiotic shots that you can take. I've been taking those like daily now, okay? And just to make sure I'm not lacking in my greens, okay? Because you can, your veggies and stuff like that. I also got these juices also from the big box store too that really just make sure I check that box daily. Took my vitamin this morning, which is a gummy, my vitamin D also this morning. So listen, however I can shake soreness and just being able to be, I guess the word is healthy I'm looking for. I'm doing everything, man, plus a ton of water these days.
I like it.
And coffee.
Don't call them vitamins, call them vitamins.
Vitamins. I'll take it. I'm here for it. Well, I did take it this morning, so there we go.
There you go.
And stretched a little bit, too. I don't realize how stretching helps, dude.
I think like Lucas has like a meditation routine when he starts his day.
Does he really?
I start my day by finding the nearest clean shirt, pair of socks and underwear, and throwing on my shoes and running out the door with a, if I have time, coffee, which I do have today.
He said the nearest cleanest shirt.
Listen, I'm 27 years old. I'm still like, yeah. If it passes the smell test early in the morning, or if there are not clothes in the dryer, which there were today, don't worry, we're totally clean today, then I don't care.
So we are in there then.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I may grow out of that one day, but not yet.
You know what? That's how it should be, dog. Like, as long as you're clean, smell good, the clothes, man, they got to be relatively decent.
Relatively is a good way to put it.
Relatively. I will say I did. I don't know why or when. No, I know what did it. College did it. When I stopped ironing my clothes. Do you iron?
No, I am. I've got a de-wrinkle setting on my dryer.
Yeah.
And I use that quite a bit.
I don't even use that.
I even got this like spray. Do you just go out with wrinkles?
You should be like, you really gonna wear that out?
So
That's marriage.
I am way too cognizant.
Yeah.
That's a good word to start the day of how wrinkled my clothes are, probably to a fault, actually. Like, I'll go the other direction. Yeah. I'll, like, look at Peyton and be like, is this wrinkled? And she's like, no. You look, that's fine. Like, you're good. And I'm like, yeah. Okay. So we are on the opposite ends of the spectrum.
We are, like, I'm not walking out like a brown paper bag, okay? Like a balled up brown paper bag. I'm not there, but the idea that, like, I'm going to set up the iron board, and we have one, plus the iron.
No, I don't iron.
Like, but here's the thing. All I know is this, and here's marriage 101 for you, okay?
Thanks.
If I'm about to walk out in something and Keisha sees me in it and it's wrinkled, give me that. This is all she'll say. Just give me that shirt. Go give me.
That's great.
Yeah, so Will.
That's great.
I have been enabled, okay? Or I have an enabler living in my house.
You do.
All right?
Clearly.
That's all I'm telling you.
Clearly.
And I sometimes may take advantage of it.
Tennessee yesterday heads back to a super regional with a win over Wake Forest, 46-17. The Vols are back in a super regional for the 5th straight season. Tennessee with a pair of home runs from Manny Marin and Andrew Fisher and a monster inning in the middle of this game. Braden Krenzel taking the win and Liam Doyle.
Ooh.
Everyone's favorite psycho to ever wear orange and white. And I say that in the kindest way possible. He goes the final 2 1/3. He also surpasses Luke Hochaver as the single-season program record holder for strikeouts. Hochaver struck out 154 back in 2005, someone that you were sharing campus with. At the University of Tennessee. Electric stuff in Knoxville. Vols still dancing.
It was amazing, man. And they took one on the chin earlier in the game. Wake Forest battled back with a 2-run home run. They did everything they were supposed to do, man. But, Will, that was a fun game to watch. It was exciting. I know there was complaints and conversations about, like, the crowd showing up and ticket sales and et cetera, and it comes down to showing up at Lindsey Nelson. You had former players saying, hey, be there. And you felt that energy, too. I think the guys felt that energy. And here's what I will say I noticed, man. I'm sure everybody else does, too. And I'm not here to play victim as a VFL. Okay, I'm just not here to play
Vol
victim.
for life, not victim for life.
Yeah, not that. You know what I'm saying? But boy, you can feel, you can see, like the hate that comes from like the other side, man. Wake Forest looked like I enjoyed it because every good thing that happened, and I ain't think the Vols were over the top, but of course I bleed orange, so I don't see it the same way others do. Okay, but what I'm telling you is this: the way they looked at the Vols and just the online dialogue of the way they play baseball, Will Lee. Screw them.
I mean, that is the era of baseball we are living in right now at any level. It's a little more personal. There's a little more, personality to the game than there was probably even 15, 20 years ago at all levels, like it or not. And Tony Vitello in Tennessee have been right in the middle of that.
You just see it, though, that comes out at times. Like even the slightest attitude that players are allowed to have or, questions, they get ejected or the coach gets a warning from time to time. Like it is, if you don't like it, beat them. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing I know Vanderbilt fans had, as they were chanting a little bit. Yesterday it's 3-1, win the SEC tournament. Well, somebody's going to a super regional.
Yeah. Vanderbilt has not made it out of a regional in 4 years.
Doing it their way.
It's hard to really say anything even after taking the season series 3 out of 4.
Yeah, and doing it their way, too. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the other part. Yep. And I enjoyed watching it yesterday, man. Liam Doyle getting up there and crushing it the way he did. Marin? Oh, my God.
Manny Marin, freshman third baseman who Tony Vitello speaks really, really highly of. He loves him. And really, for me, that was the story of this game. You had 3 freshmen kind of pairing with the 2 Ole Miss transfers in Andrew Fisher and Liam Doyle. The 3 freshmen making a big impact in this game. Manny Marin, who is a triple shy of the cycle. Braden Krenzel, kind of the unsung hero of the night. Ryan Shumpert wrote that at RockyTopInsider.com. I totally agree with him that this time of year, and we think about this a lot, and if you look at the ERAs of some of these guys that go in like major crucial innings in the NCAA tournament, you got to have some dudes with 5, 6, 7 ERAs, or guys who have pitched like 10 innings all year with low ERAs against mid-majors. You got to have some dudes step up on the mound. Yeah. And that's exactly what Tennessee. Braden Krenzel was terrific. And then Levi Clark, the other freshman, I thought had a good day. He scored twice, was hit by a pitch twice, and was audacious enough to complain about it the second time and got a warning from the umpire that that's the whole thing. But credit to those three guys, a really big reason why Tennessee's in a 5th straight super regional.
No doubt about it, man. And earlier on, too, Wake Forest, I thought, tried to do as much as they possibly could as far as pitching. I was glad to see them adjust, man. I was also excited to see the Vols. They hit like baseball players last night. Like the way they were able to just pop pooch balls into certain dead spots.
Professional at bats.
It was professional at bats.
We've not seen that at times from this team, especially with runners in scoring position.
No, absolutely not. And from there too, Will, the idea, and I spoke about this earlier this year when we were speaking about the differences in programs and stuff like that, is like they got to get their ability to make the routine plays routine. Well, You knew they had the talent. Well, last night we were able to see that a little bit yesterday, man. I will say I think it was Gavin Keelan that threw a hot ball to first base. And who was on first at the time? Andrew Fisher. Had to make an athletic play. Like, those are the things that you knew they had in them. It's just that I'm not sure if it's pressure that's making them perform like this, or the idea that they had to talk and just say, you know what, this is where we need to be and how you need to play. I thought we saw yesterday the team that coming into the season, that the potential was there yesterday. And it was an elimination game. So pressure and opportunity rises to the occasion. So that was a good game all the way through.
615-737-1045 is our number. We stream the show live at 1045 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Austin Price coming up at 8:20 this morning. Former NFL offensive lineman Ryan Harris is going to join us in hour 4 at 9:20 as we start to take a look around Titans opponents and begin in week 1 with the Denver Broncos. And we got a former Bronco coming on in hour 4 today. But when we come back, headlines from your Monday night. There's a sneaky headline about Titans preseason, something that's going to happen that I don't see a lot of people talking about. We'll do that. Plus, some more notes on last night's incredible finale to a opening weekend of the NCAA baseball tournament. All that and more is next.
Guys, summer is here. It's time for gatherings, time with family and friends, activities, and holidays. But how are you going to keep up if low testosterone levels are draining your energy? The answer is TRT with Low T Center, man. Online TRT services may seem convenient, but often you end up spending hundreds of dollars on unreliable test kits, then waiting for days for lab results before you even know if you qualify. Then they say you meet with a doctor, but sometimes you don't even meet that person on the screen. Do you feel comfortable trusting your health to a chat? After all, you have to wait again for your meds in the mail. Does it sound like quality care? Absolutely not. Trusting the experts at Low T Center has been changing lives for over 15 years. They understand what guys need, and all treatments start with a thorough in-person consultation, and they make it easy to get started with the quality of care you deserve. Again, there are so many locations around the city, from Brentwood to Gallatin. Whatever you need from them, they will provide for you, man, with a white glove care at the center and professionally monitored and custom dosing for home treatment. This is something that you need to do. And of course, major insurances are accepted, so you have no excuse. The offer is limited, so right now, go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment. That is Low T Center. Be sure to tell them that Ramon sent you.
Hey, it's Will Bowling. If you have a plumbing issue at home, maybe that's a leaky faucet, it's that clogged drain, the water heater that's gone cold. I want to tell you about the plumbing professionals at Lee Company who have your back. Available 24/7 year-round, Lee Company's licensed technicians can save you time, money, and all the stresses that come with an ill-timed plumbing issue. So contact their award-winning team at leecompany.com. Or you can give them a call, 615 888-567-1000. Look, I love working with Lee Company because I love working with local businesses who invest in our community, who are members of our community. Lee Company, they are involved. You see their 1,000 fleet vehicle set always driving around. You got the vans, the trucks, and you always see Lee Company's logo around your neck of the woods. 615-567-1000. Trust the folks that I trust with over 80 years of experience in Middle Tennessee. That's online at leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Ramon Will, brewed by Scooters Coffee on 104.5 The Zone and streaming live on Zone TV. Make sure you subscribe to the 104.5 The Zone YouTube channel while you are there. If you decide to stream us on your smart device, tablet, or smart TV, 615-737-1045 if you want to get in on the discussion. Ramon Foster, Will Bowling, and Justin Hawkins, our producer on this Tuesday. So, Ramon, there is a Titans headline yesterday that I did not see a lot of people talking about.
Crazy.
A little bit about preseason, and not a major surprise, but I was reading ProFootballTalk.com last night and found this quote from Todd Bowles, head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, on the Pewter Report podcast, saying, "We are working on having joint practices with the Titans and Steelers." The head coach of the Bucs. Of course, the Titans will be in Tampa for preseason on August 9th. Then they will play Pittsburgh the next week on August the 16th. Of course, the way that pertains to you is expect joint practices again for the team, according to the head coach down there in Tampa, Ramon.
Yeah, man, this is good. Also, if it's that trio of team, you said it's the Steelers, Tampa, and Tampa Bay Bucs, and the Tennessee Titans. Those three teams to me are almost in very similar situations. But I say the Bucs have probably they're probably more advanced as where they are as far as a team because of their quarterback situation too. You got three teams that should have really good defenses going against each other with the right amount of youth on that team that has to develop, and the coaches, too, that need to see their team be very competitive. And we got to also remember, too, this is also the consequences of them taking away the preseason game. This is the fourth game right here that you have the opportunity to do these joint practices with, to get some real live tempo reps for some guys that you need a whole lot of answers for quickly. Heck, we're thinking about last year. Who was it with Green Bay? Was it Green Bay last year? Seattle. We're watching last year with Seattle, and that situation right there is we got a lot of answers about Levis in those moments, and just the way the wide receiver core was going to be that we never really saw them get better from.
It's a great point. And honestly, looking back, there were probably some red flags about Levis.
Yeah.
And about the offense in those joint practices that we should have given more credence to at the time. And that's not always the case. Like, sometimes you do have training camps, to me, that are outliers, where you do try things and you try to push the limits of what you feel like you can pull off as an offense. And then there are some times where, the preseason where Ryan Tannehill had all the interceptions, and it's like, wow, that kind of translated into the regular season.
And that's because I think coaches take it a little bit more serious, too. Like, they want to see you give live reps. They want to see these certain scenarios and situational football, and see if your team can get better. Now, the reason I think last year, looking at how it unfolded for the Titans and the season and those joint practices is this, to me, is you have players in that position that most of them will say, oh, it's just practice. Oh, man, we'll get that in the game. And I think in the way these joint practices are set up, Will, you need to see some variations or many different variations of how you can be successful. Last year, I don't know if we got a good bit of that. What I did remember seeing was the defense being able to hold its own, which it did until it grinded to a pulp. But offensively, it never did click in those moments against Seattle, especially where their defense was on the secondary side of things.
Right.
And that story never ended.
It's true. It's very fair. So that is half of the story, and the other half of it is that the Falcons are also expected to have joint practices with the Titans. I know the Atlanta Journal-Constitution had that yesterday as well, that Atlanta plans on doing the same. So that would send the Titans on the road for 2 straight weeks. About at least a week and a half absence if you went down there and had middle of the week practices in Tampa and then did the same thing with Atlanta the next week. So it does feel like the off-season preparation and the different elements of what you want to throw at Cam Ward, Ramon, certainly a big point of emphasis in that is playing other defenses and learning some lessons when live bullets are not firing. Plus, I mean, you have 2 road preseason games this year. You had 2 home preseason games last year.
No doubt about it. And then you open up the season again on the road. And the other side of it, too, we spoke about, this season and what it means. My mindset is this, to your point about getting Cam Ward, can we just say he's going to be opening day starter? Is that cool?
I mean, I don't know if we 100% can say that, to be quite honest with you.
I know, but like I feel like
probably.
Yeah. But
I mean, if you want to make that proclamation,
I'm going to make
ahead.
that proclamation, okay? And it's for this reason. Is Levis really going to roll back out there? Okay, all right, well, I'll put it this way. Respectfully
Falcons
to him.
are a good team for
I love how you're doing this. I love and hate you at the same time right now.
I'm with you, though.
But my point is
it's going to be Cam Ward.
And we didn't have a bigger conversation about this either. Like the reports, I think, from Teron Davenport and others that went to practice last week, the first opening practice, was Levis ended that session with the pick 6.
He did.
You know? And
we were there, too. I mean, it was a pass, I think, intended for Mason Kinsey.
Yeah.
Against Seattle.
Yeah, I'm talking about last week.
Oh, yes, that too.
In the open
practice. I can't keep all the Levis practice pick 6s together.
And you trying to put another meme out there.
It's part of the process right now.
Yeah, it is a part of the process. But what I'm saying is, like, those things that we saw from him last year seem to still be happening. And I know, look, interceptions and turnovers and sacks and all that happen. It's a matter, can you overcome that? Last year, you weren't able to overcome that. So why would you roll him back out there? Which is why I am proclaiming, barring injury or something crazy happening, Cam Ward is the opening day starter. So with that being said, you have 2 preseason games that you're going to do joint practices with on the road. I feel like Coach Callahan and his group, as comfortable and as much as they're trying to challenge them inside of the building, they want to make it as uncomfortable as they possibly can so that when the season kicks off on the road in Denver, in Mile High, then you're ready to hit the ground running. Because to your point about those defenses and the rushes that the Falcons hope that they have, and also think about up the middle. What does that mean for Vita Vea going against this interior offensive line? Like, these are some challenges that you got to have your mind set for, and they don't have time when the season kicks off because it's at Denver. Then it's at home with a very seasoned Matthew Stafford with the Rams. So as many tests as you can give this group right now, you have to.
It's interesting with a younger team going away for what we believe is 2 weeks. And I don't know, maybe they'll come back home and then go to Atlanta, or they go straight to Tampa and Atlanta and things like that. But, Ramon, what is the value for a young team in having guys a little bit out of their comfort zone, away from home for that long, to kind of take all of their time? Because to me, this almost feels like it is easier. Maybe it's more difficult. I'm curious your thoughts on this, having a younger team be away from home, like being able to control more of their day after practice and after film. And maybe that's easier when you are away, everyone in a hotel, than it is at home when everybody's just going back home and can just go live their normal lives on a Tuesday night or a Thursday night with practice the next morning.
It can be twofold. You mentioned them being a young team and being on the road for essentially 2 weeks. So for me, like, we stayed in dorms whenever I played. Like, we were on the campus. This group, if I'm not mistaken, they practice and go home every single day. So even though they're at the facility all day long, like, when we used to sit on the front porch basically at the training camp, at the dorms, and just hang out. Joke, people walking up and down the steps.
You feel like you're back in college a little bit.
Will, exactly like you're in college. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's essentially what we did in college at Gibbs. Like, it was a bunch of that just hanging around each other. And so I think that's crucial, number one, for them to do that if they take the right approach by being in the hotel. Because it will be uncomfortable. And the other part for me is this side of it too. I do think there's a world where this group has to be uncomfortable and broken down. Like, the everyday grind of being outside of your locker room and the comforts of your specific locker and your car and your family. I feel like if they can get this early on with this bunch to essentially, you know how you go through boot camp. That's what training camp used to feel like and be, with the 2-a-days, and you got to have sore feet and blisters and hands and stuff. Like, I don't think these groups get that necessarily as much. So the best way to do that is to put them on a road for about 2 weeks and allow them to grow, be out of their comfort zones, because there's nothing that's comfortable about the NFL, to be quite honest with you. And I'll say this for any pro sport. Well, I'm sure Nashville SC has some stuff just like, it's a whole lot of pressure that's involved in performing and building the team. Yeah. And I think this is also a bigger challenge to Callahan, too, to balance this up and be productive.
That's what I'm interested in seeing this offseason and seeing today. Titans are back on the practice field today. We'll have a ton of info. It's in a reaction to that. I'll be over there at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park this morning right after the show. But just watching the way he kind of runs things a little bit differently. Like what lessons did Brian Callahan, the coach, just at practice learn about last season? I think you talk to a lot of people over there. That's one of the big talking points for him, for some of those players, I think for some of the veterans, is how are you going to learn from what didn't work last year with such a young team? Because I think there's even more appreciation that a lot of young players are going to play very quickly. And I'm just interested to see what that looks like today.
Yeah, they don't have a whole lot of time to waste time growing up.
Well, and especially on offense, like the fact that you've got Pat Surtain and those young stud defensive secondary players in Denver that you're going to play week one, it forces you to be even more on edge to begin the season and in shape with all the altitude.
Easily, and the other side of it too is like watching JC move over to the right side. Like you can get kind of in a mode of seeing the same player every single day. Them going to do joint practices, man. When we did it, our anxiety levels were high. We did it against the Buffalo Bills.
Well, guys are willing to embarrass you.
Yeah,
like
it's that part.
Like your own teammates will go so far, but like it's like being out on the field almost in the regular season, more practice than it is in any preseason game you're going to watch.
It is, and the All-Pro and Pro Bowl players that they have, like this is like legitimate. I'm looking at. I don't think Zeitler will probably be one of those guys that go every single day, especially against a Vita Vea, or Elijah Kamsey. I think they're two interior defensive linemen that they have mostly. But looking at Peter Skoronski go against Vita Vea, can he hold his own? This is also a huge test if Lloyd Cushenberry is coming back out. Like, I don't know if I want Vita Vea pushing up against him. But, like, this reworked, reshaped offensive line that they have, like, what better challenge than you have than what the Tampa Bay Bucks, and also a young rookie in Atlanta Falcons and James Pierce Jr. Like, these are the things you're going to be getting yourself into. And to your point, Will, about the embarrassment part, I'll never forget watching Kyle Williams just try to ragdoll guys in practice when he was with the Bills. This is when Rex Ryan had his team and his defense up there, and it was just a mentality, like, guys fighting.
Sure.
Like, legitimately, like, to your point, I don't care about you on the other side over there. And I think that's what this team needs more than anything this year. When we hear about who won the day, that's what it is. And that's why I think it's like 3 games that they're going to end up having to play, 4 games essentially with the joint practices and stuff.
615-737-1045. Paul in Franklin leads us off talking Titans this morning. Hey, Paul.
What up, Paul?
What's going on, man? It's great to be alive and be in Tennessee.
Yes, sir, it is.
I just checked the calendar this morning. It's June, right? June the 2nd.
That's right.
And 9 weeks from this Saturday, baby, the Titans hit the field in preseason. We're under double digits, baby. 9 weeks. I love it. That's all I got to say. Tighten up and go on.
Thank you, Paul.
Paul in Franklin, baby. He comes with the energy, man. We that far away, but that close at the same time.
Yeah, we're in that middle ground. We're like, football doesn't feel that far, and then we'll get into August, and we'll start doing these like double-digit number countdowns of like it's 28 days until football. It's like, all right, please just get here.
I mean,
I'm not quite there yet. I'm not itching. I'm not like a fiend, just scratching my neck, wanting, just craving football. But like I'm excited. I'm ready for football.
It's July for me. As soon as July hit, it's a wrap.
We got to get to the NFL summer break first.
Yeah.
Before we can really start. Because we'll get our fill a little bit today. We'll get our fix with some routes on air, some stretching, some things of that nature. We'll watch football be practiced today and next week with mandatory minicamp. And then after that, then we'll really start like, y'all got any of that football over there? Anybody?
I got.
So I'll start watching UFL games to try to get my fix.
I've been watching them. I'll be honest with you, it's just I can't do it for the entirety of the game though.
No, I just there's
respectfully
the result of the game and the score is so secondary to just having the sounds of football and like having pads popping, having a ready, go is worth it.
The most interesting thing in the UFL to me is the entertainment that they add to it. Like them going to the coach's booth to call plays and stuff like that. That keeps me engaged more than the actual play does because it's no name recognition. By the way, I think Memphis is about to lose the Showboats too.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, but like this
I have not heard about that.
Yeah, well, they're only getting like 2,000 people per game, but that's neither here nor there.
That'll do it.
That will do it.
That will definitely do it.
But the joint practice conversation though is necessary for all three teams. Pittsburgh needs it in the worst way. They're in the same position, I think, offensive line as the Titans are too. Though with Troy Fautanu, the first round,
trying to get back to average.
Trying to get back to average, dog.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's the way to do it. College baseball was tremendous yesterday, not just in Knoxville, where Tennessee, of course, makes a fifth straight super regional, as we led the show with this morning. How about Murray State? Over Ole Miss, 12-11. I don't know how much of this game you watched, but it was kind of wild what Murray State was able to do. I think they had something like 16 hits in the first 6 innings of this game. 19 hits for Murray State. None of them home runs. They were finding gaps. They were blooping and blasting, and they were finding holes in the infield. Ole Miss had 10 hits and still couldn't get the job done, but boy, you think Ole Miss could have used their old buddies Liam Doyle and Andrew Fisher?
I think so.
Last night, who were the stars for Tennessee to get them back to a super regional. Squeeze play on ESPN Plus, tremendous again last night. And boy, the college baseball was really fun over the weekend.
It was. At the end, we talked about it before we signed off yesterday. You didn't even have to be a fan of the other teams playing ball.
Even if Tennessee got knocked out, I'd still be glued next weekend. It's just the sport is in a really good place right now, in my opinion.
It is. And on top of that, man, Little Rock pushed LSU again.
They did 10-6 the final, but it was 5-1 Little Rock at one point. I was settled in. I'm a little less sleep deprived this morning because I just gave up in about the 8th inning, but I was going to watch that whole game, and Little Rock made some noise.
I tried to push it to watch it, man. When I went to bed, Little Rock was still up. So that's where I was as far as trying to tune into that one. So all in all, good ball yesterday. By the way, why they continue to do silly production stuff at times too?
What do you mean?
The Vols game had started already yesterday.
Well, that was technical difficulties yesterday.
It was technical difficulties.
Yeah, they said on the screen it was major technical difficulties.
All right. I was about to say, because at that time, I think it was 8-1 or something like that to Oklahoma, North Carolina, Oklahoma. That just lightly ticked me off just a little bit. But if you said it was
not by design
going on, then so be it. By the way, SEC, what are we doing? I mean, boom, roasted to us. Ole Miss goes down. Oklahoma goes down.
Yep.
Little Rock gets pushed. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Justin. That's all you can say in that situation.
So super regionals set in college baseball, and it is going to be really fun. Some of these weekends next weekend, or some of these games next weekend. I'm trying to find a list of all the super regionals, which is harder than finding who killed Kennedy. There's truly not a place. Here we go. Super regional schedule. So you've got Miami and Louisville in the Louisville Super Regional. That would have been Vanderbilt. Oregon State, Florida State. No, it's just that's not even trolling. I've got to be able to talk about who would have been playing. Anyway, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to try to be a professional. Okay. Oregon State, Florida State, and Corvallis. You've got the number 5 overall seed, North Carolina. They will get Arizona. Auburn and Coastal. Don Davenport will be locked in. The Auburn Super Regional, UCLA, UTSA, in the battle of 4-letter acronym schools. Murray State and Duke, that is in Durham. LSU, West Virginia. And then Tennessee, Arkansas.
Yeah. I met a father this weekend, man, at the tournament. His kids playing 17U baseball.
Yep.
I'm actually playing with some of the Tennessee commitments for the class of 2026. And we're sitting around talking. I was asking how's recruiting going and all this type of stuff. And he was saying Virginia Tech was big in on this kid. And he was just like, I want him to go close to home. I was like, where do you want to go? He was just like, in Carolina. I was like, where? He was like, Coastal Carolina.
Conway.
Right there. Yeah, he was.
The Shots.
The father was big on Coastal Carolina, man. And here they are making it to the Super Region. So I guess Pop's no ball.
They've got a national title.
Yeah.
As a program.
Yeah, man.
Pretty good one.
He was excited about Coastal recruiting his kid, which is new to me. I wasn't that privy to what Coastal had done. So now I understand it a little.
That's where Liam Doyle started his career.
Yeah.
Coastal Carolina.
And they knocked out our guy Robert Walsh's team to East Carolina.
They did, so we hate him.
Yeah. They're not for us.
That's the that's right. That is the summary of how we feel about Coastal Carolina baseball if they knocked out Burt. 615-737-1045 is our number. A player in the AFC that we are waiting to show up to practice showed up yesterday. We'll talk about that next. Ramon Will, 104.5 The Zone, fueled by Scooters Coffee. Visit a locally owned location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. So Stefon Diggs has been under the microscope, Ramon Foster, this offseason. Yesterday, he was under the microscope at practice. How about this? Stefon Diggs actually present for the team's voluntary organized team activity on Monday up in New England. Of course, reports surfaced over the weekend, some rumors that the Patriots might be open to cutting him. And after a video on a boat surfaced of him and females and a pink powder and all of these good things, Mike Vrabel has been talking to the media about the importance of good decision-making. Ramon, back when he was here, that was called dumb bleep to hurt the team.
Yeah.
Stefon Diggs back out there yesterday, reportedly, everything is okay. Yeah. Not going anywhere. Still going to be a part of the New England Patriots.
It shows, a couple things for me. What was the conversation like with Vrabel before he ran out to practice? Because you can't just show up and not go talk to the coach. I wonder what kind of understanding that they got. But this also shows this to me, too, is man, as long as you got talent that can be used, they're going to find a way to keep you, man. Stefon Diggs, like I said, I'm not sure if that was a bunch of fabricated stuff that he had going on because his girlfriend or the girl that he's, engaged with is an entertainer. So I did question if it was like a music video just to try to, play devil's advocate and give the benefit of the doubt.
Sure.
But New England has one of those media places, man, have one of those media areas where they're going to drill him and ask him questions and his teammates and stuff like that, too. And he just brought an unwarranted spotlight to the team. Good thing is it's the offseason. If he also has already taken his street drug tests, he doesn't have to take another one. If they only test during training camp, then the league can test him for whatever that is anyway. And here's the other side, too. Stefon Diggs wasn't on camera doing anything with the pink substance.
Correct.
It was just around.
Yep.
And also, what to you, was that too blatant, too flagrant? Like, you had to have known cameras were around.
I mean, I think at this point, if I'm somebody in the public light, I'm just assuming there's always a camera on me. If you're that big of a show, that big of a deal, the way that he is, yeah.
Yeah, and
for sure.
That's where it becomes a little bit problematic, and I question it a little bit. It's like, bro, you got to be aware that, there's too many females and too many cameras around for you to be passing out pink substances like that. But it's just an unwanted distraction, Will.
It is crazy to me, some of the headlines we get in NFL circles this time of year. Like this one, Sam Darnold throws 2 interceptions in 7-on-7 session before media. Like, how much does performance matter in June at OTAs?
It depends on who you are. That's what I will say. It depends on who you are. Because if that's Levis here, I think we got pitchforks out, right? Like, that's the way I look at this one. His reputation says that he can't beat that situation. But with a guy like Sam Darnold,
yep.
Like you look at him like, well, he's not going anywhere. It's probably just an adjustment to the defense and let him settle in a little bit. For him, I'm not as worried because of what he did last year. But the way he ended last year, those things can't happen. But for a guy like Levis or let's go Bryce Young in that situation, that's a little bit more problematic for me. So, again, we spoke earlier, like there are signs to this type of stuff happening. You just got to, see if it continues on.
The Sam Darnold thing in Seattle is going to be really interesting to follow this year. Brady Henderson of ESPN.com said it was an up and down day, had 2 picks in a short span during a 7-on-7 red zone period, Darnold. According to reports, Julian Love with one of the picks. He is going to set the precedent for how teams handle mid-20s to late 20s reclamation projects. And what I mean by that is the teams that have been chasing finding Matthew Stafford, the way that Denver operated with Russell Wilson, based off of what the Rams found with Matthew Stafford, the way that teams tried to find another Ryan Tannehill after the Titans made that successful in 2019. Like, if Sam Darnold succeeds this year in Seattle, I think you're going to live in a world where the Justin Fields tier of NFL quarterbacks have a better chance of making a lot of money and still being relied upon to get better. And I sometimes hate the way the NFL works with this, that if a project at quarterback works for one team and one profile, everyone just tries to do the exact same thing. But on the flip side, if Sam Darnold flops, you might have teams less willing to hand out 3 years, $100.5 million to guys who are kind of one-hit wonders as veterans, in the mid to late 20s of their careers.
That's what I was going to get to is that part right there. Like, you got guys coming up this year, like a Will Levis, like a Mason Rudolph, like a Daniel Jones, that are looking at Sam Darnold like, bro, you need to be our champion for a lot of different reasons, man. One, to your point about was it just a system that you were successful in on the team that you left? I think that plays a part into these types of guys having this resurgence in their career. But it's also the money side of it too, Will. You know I know they will set a market for these types of guys moving forward. And it's him right now, Sam Darnold. It's watching what Derek Carr has done or didn't do, right? Because he got a bag. Right. Then it's also Kirk Cousins is in this conversation. Recently, these reclamation quarterbacks or free agent veterans have burned NFL teams. So I wonder how they're going to move forward with trying to get this reclamation project, Will, to come be a savior at this point. Only one that's kind of really did it as of late, Sam Darnold for the year. And I would say I got to give respect to Geno Smith.
Yeah,
Geno's checked that box.
For sure.
He's checked that box for sure. So it can be, depending upon what Sam Darnold does, problematic, or at least putting a cap over the way they view these free agent quarterbacks, or just go get you another Joe Flacco.
7 a.m. hour coming up. 615-737-1045 is our number. We stream the show live on the 1045 The Zone app, 1045 The Zone TV. The F&M Bank chat is wide open on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Coming up, Titans have practices again today for organized team activities. How important is it for Jeffrey Simmons to be there? We'll talk about that next.
It's Ramon Foster for Brian's Motorsport. Yes, that spot, that one that's in Hendersonville, man, where they believe in dream, design, and build. Whatever you can dream, they'll design it and also build it for you. If you're not sure where they're located at, man, they're located at 789 West Main Street in Hendersonville. If you've ever been to Hendersonville, you know exactly where they are, right off the highway, man. But here's the cool thing about it. If you're ready to elevate your vehicle, Brian's Motorsport specializes in transforming rides, which you guys know, statement-making custom wheels, immersive audio experiences, and head-turning styles through custom tints and wrap. These are some of the things I've done to my vehicles already. So whether you're seeking subtle enhancements like I have on my truck right now, or complete custom build, they will deliver cutting-edge style and performance for all vehicles, including the most exclusive and exotic cars. Also, if you're a Jeep owner that wants the ultimate off-road performance, Brian's Motorsports is the undisputed leader in Jeep customization. Brian's Motorsports can give it an aggressive off-road appearance and performance that has made Brian's Motorsports an undisputed leader of off-road upgrades. Again, what makes them different is they listen to you, the customer, hear your vision, and put together your dream vehicle. So, dream, design, and build was inspired by their team wanting to make your dreams come to life. Again, you can go to briansmotorsports.com or visit any one of their social media accounts at Brian's Motorsports.
It is 7:01 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. I'm Justin Hawkins. Tennessee baseball is moving on to the Supers for the fifth consecutive season. The Vols got the bats going last night in the Knoxville Regional Final as they take down Wake Forest 11-5. A 7-run fourth inning, including 2 home runs by Manny Marin and Andrew Fisher, catapulted the win. Liam Doyle shut down Wake Forest with 5 strikeouts and 0 hits, pitching the final 2 1/3 innings to earn the save. Tennessee now heads to Fayetteville for a Super Regional against Arkansas, which will begin on Friday. The Tennessee Lady Vols softball lost 2-0 to Texas yesterday as their impressive postseason run comes to an end. So it'll be Texas versus Texas Tech in the Women's College World Series Championship and a best of 3 starting tomorrow night. In NFL news, a couple of retirements that came down yesterday. 4-time Pro Bowler and Detroit Lions center Frank Ragnow announced his retirement on social media after 7 seasons. Also, veteran quarterback Ronald Darby has informed the Houston Texans that he's retiring from the NFL after 10 seasons. Darby had signed a 1-year contract back in March with the Texans as a free agent after he was released by the Jacksonville Jaguars. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you've got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Ramon and Will at 104.5 The Zone, fueled by Scooter's Coffee. Hope you're having a great start to your Tuesday. It is gorgeous here in Middle Tennessee. A little bit warm when you go outside, but we're all right with that. We woke up this morning. We're thankful for that. 615-737-1045. How you join us? Fueled by Scooter's Coffee here on Ramon and Will. Locally owned near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Ramon, I'm excited about the conversation we're about to get into here in about 20 minutes.
I'm here for it, Will.
We're going to ask, if the Titans make the playoffs, how do they get there? And I want to get out on the front of this. We're not predicting the Titans are going to make the playoffs. I am not setting the expectation that the Titans are going to make the playoffs. But I think in June, it is reasonable to have the conversation of, if they were to surprise us, how might they do it? We've got some numbers of how teams usually differentiate between playoff and non-playoff teams over the past couple of years. We'll do that coming up in 15 minutes.
All right, for sure. I'm looking forward to it, man, because you know what? As a player, that's what I used to be able to do, too. Well, that's what I did just looking at the schedule is, where's our breakdown? Where do we start to sprint? Where do we just start to walk through this thing? Who's coming back? Who are the quarterbacks on this list? Like I was weird in a sense because at a certain point in my career, all I was worried about was chasing the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And getting there mean, okay, we got to get into the postseason first. And where does that go, man? But we'll do this exercise too, assuming health is there on all parts too. Will, that's how we'll do it.
Sure.
Everybody's healthy. All right. Cool.
I mean, that's part of the stipulation.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
In order to make the playoffs, what has to happen? Staying an amount of healthy.
Yeah.
Is certainly a part of it.
Because at
certain positions, you're going to have to stay healthy.
No doubt. At the quarterback position, you got to stay healthy. Because I think there will be a better unknown depth is what I'll say. Because
sure.
I'm looking at some of the veteran offensive linemen that they signed, and I'm thinking to myself, well, they should at least be more serviceable than the ones you had in the last couple of years. So just starting there. But well, yeah, let's get into that one. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, we'll do that coming up here in 15 minutes. Today, the Titans back on the practice field as OTAs continue. Again, mandatory practices beginning next week for the team as they will wrap up the mandatory minicamp portion of the practice in exactly a week, June 10th through 12th. So still more off-season workouts today, voluntary basis. They were on the practice field yesterday. Media will be out there today. They've got one more practice scheduled this week for Thursday. Ramon, there's nearly perfect attendance over at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park right now. And we have confirmation that while Tyler Lockett, L'Jarius Sneed, Kevin Zeitler, and Tavondre Sweat were not spotted last week, that they are there. Paul Karski with that report that all of those guys are at team headquarters participating in meetings and rehabbing, meaning one player is not there for the entire roster, and that's Jeffrey Simmons. How important is it for you to see him this week?
This week, still not as important. I'm still not in that conversation as far as like Jeff being here. Would it be nice to have him here? Yeah. I'm starting to ask the question like the why. Why is he not here more than anything? Is this a contract-based situation? Or is it, hey, I just need to rest my body? Or the other side I brought up last week, is this where you keep Jeff or Jeff stays away and you have guys like T'Vondre Sweat, L'Jarius Sneed, who's should be a lead on this team, have to step up and lead and guide guys along the way. So I'm not pressed because I've seen this happen before. From a fan's perspective, Will, I would think most fans are going to say, yeah, Jeffrey, get your behind at OTAs. I'm sure coaches will absolutely want that too.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't really move the needle for me. Like, I just feel like when you have 90 guys report, it creates a dialogue that is a little unfair to Jeffrey Simmons because it's all we have to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like if there were other things to capture our attention right now, if the schedule release was this week versus when it was, if you had other, news and notes from practices that were meaningful other than just what Cam Ward is doing, like I just don't care. Like Jeffrey Simmons has proven to us that he's going to be in shape. He's going to be healthy. He's going to be there for training camp. No questions asked. And he's going to produce. And like, I just feel like if there's anyone on this entire roster who has the right to do his own thing in the offseason, it's Jeff. I just don't care.
It is. But the only thing, and I'll speak from a fan's perspective, I 100% agree with it. I'm a union guy from the NFLPA and everything. So we fought for Jeff to be able to not show up to show up to OTAs. It is organized team activities, but they are voluntary, okay? Just simply put. But from a fan's perspective on where this team was last year, right? Looking at the idea that 3-14, right? The defense. You made a statement earlier last year, Jeffrey Simmons, that, hey, nobody runs on the Tennessee Titans, and teams ran on the Tennessee Titans. You're looking at the way the rush wasn't able to get after the quarterback, looking at how youthful and new the defense is also with new linebackers behind you. Jeffrey Simmons, you should probably be at OTAs to go through these new schemes, to be a cheerleader for your teammates and also be that leader because you're one of the heaviest checks that you have on this squad.
Fair enough.
I understand now those optics and the wants and needs of it too. So I could, if you are a fan and that's your conversation, I understand it. I know there's frustration there because from what I've heard from people in this fan base, Jeff's loud but doesn't do a whole lot for them. Is the way it's been perceived in a sense.
I think there are people out there with that opinion.
Yeah, they're almost running tired of Jeff.
Sure.
I've heard that be the case. Or any good that you get from Jeffrey Simmons, also he negates it from his penalties from time to time. So his attention to detail is what I think most people say, this is why you need to be here in these moments.
Commenter on YouTube says, if he wasn't the captain, I understand your narrative, but you aren't setting a good example for culture building. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that. Culture building happens when it gets tight more than anything. Everybody know what Jeff is. When Jeff walks in that building, everybody's going to be super excited. It's Jeff doing Jeff thing. And I think that's more, I guess, the reason he's away than anything. It's either because of money or because, look, I run hot and you guys know that, and I need to save as many bullets as I possibly can for when it actually counts. There is that part of it for me from him. Now, here's the other side of it, too. If Jeffrey Simmons comes in and they pretty much hold his reps down, is he getting better being in-house, or should he be working out one-on-one with his trainers and getting the quality reps that he needs there? I do think at a certain point in your career, you start to work on position-specific things and not waste a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
Like for me, it was, look, I'm working on O-line stuff. There's no need for me to be doing shuttle drills or going through the ins and outs of stuff that I won't use, and I think that's what Jeffrey's trying to figure out in this offseason.
Yeah, I think next week the conversation changes a little bit. If you're missing mandatory practices, and that I think is a different dialogue than it is this week for voluntary OTAs. I don't know. To me, like I understand the side that is disappointed about this, and a lot of comments at the Evan and Bank chat saying like, look, it's this time of year is about building team chemistry, and the face of the defense is not present. Tell me that isn't poor leadership.
See, it's tough because it's Jeffrey Simmons owed that to be able to be away from the team. I know he has some stuff that popped up in the media too, as far as those personal to him that he had to go through the courts with. Like, do we know if that's what he's dealing with? Also, the idea that he released earlier this offseason, the naysayers, media drop on this show, on his social media. So you understand the complexity of what this offseason and what this season means to him too. Again, like you said, next week is mandatory. And it'll be fascinating if he doesn't show up. But what I would also say is I feel like this is a guy that probably wants a little bit more with what the defensive line market is. And just also has the team helped him enough in these moments.
That is the interesting part of it is the contract piece. So Jeffrey Simmons, base salary $17.5 million this season, 4.8 at signing. And you've got a $22.7 million cap hit for Jeffrey Simmons this season, playing on the third year now of a deal with 2 more years on it, 2026 and 2027 after this upcoming season. So a contract that's set to get Jeff through age 30 in 2027. With what Milton Williams signed for in New England, that market is resetting at interior defensive line. And the reporting we have out there says that there is not some kind of ongoing dispute. I think there can be a middle ground, though, between, there's maybe not a dispute going on. Like, I don't know if this is a holdout from Jeffrey Simmons. I'm not going to go that far. But do I also believe that Jeffrey Simmons would like to see his contract reflect some of the new numbers at that position? Yes, I do.
If I'm not mistaken, so I think he also was looking for a new agent or changed.
I believe that is correct, yes. Does not currently have an agent listed on the NFLPA website, Jeffrey Simmons.
That tells me there's probably a conversation that needs to be had about what his obligations are going to be moving forward, considering what he does for this team. But does he command $23 million a year?
I mean, I think at some point you have to pay a little bit of a tax if you're the Titans. To sweeten the pot, to incentivize somebody to stay around and be the cornerstone of your rebuild.
I think it's that. Because defensively, Cody Barton, L'Jarius Sneed, who didn't play a whole lot last year, Jeff. I mean, you can throw Arden in there or Amani, but like Amani
Hooker at safety is,
OG status now. Like
he's getting there.
He's not
he's
necessarily
also drafted in 2019. Those guys are the same age, late 20s.
Didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay. So is Jeff on this defense.
I mean, that's what it's been.
Yeah, you're paying him to be a representative if you do move money forward for him.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's the case, but like when a guy doesn't have an agent listed or is searching for a new one, it's usually contract or money based at that point. Then you also, like you just said just a second ago, you got to pay to be bad sometimes too.
I will get a lot more interested in this if he's not there next week. Here's the other thing for me, and I'm probably being inconsistent on this, and it's fine. I'll admit it on the front end. I don't really care about that position being here in OTAs.
Yeah, I feel you.
If Jeffrey Simmons was a wide receiver, I would care because it would be about developing chemistry with Cam Ward.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Simmons, to me, and you tell me if I'm wrong, you played this for 11 years. Jeffrey Simmons, to me, does not play a position that I feel like requires him to be working in this building with guys around him every day.
It's very individualized.
Like that is an individual. You beat your guy one-on-one. Like there's not a ton of, and again, I may be totally off base on this. And so I'm kind of
spot on.
I'm kind of asking the question as I'm saying it, but like that's not a position that's really scheme dependent as much as other positions on the field for me. So if Jeffrey Simmons was an inside linebacker in this scheme right now, heck yeah, I'd care. You're playing next to Cody Barton.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're auditioning for a spot. Like Jeffrey Simmons is in an established role. He's a leader in this locker room already. And he doesn't play a position to me where he needs to be learning any kind of new scheme or new chemistry with guys around him as much as, say, a wide receiver, a tight end, or a running back right now.
You're 100% spot on. But our good friend Austin Stanley texted us and just said this entire offseason has been what? Kumbaya.
It has.
Building.
But I don't know how much.
Everybody together.
You don't have to be in the building to still foster that level of leadership. Like, who's Jeffrey Simmons working out with? Like, to me, like, okay, sure, he's not in the building, But we don't know what Jeffrey Simmons, who he's working out with on any given week or at any given time. Like, we know him and T'Vondre Sweat have done a lot of stuff together. Like, is that not building leadership too?
Very much so.
So just because it doesn't happen in the building doesn't mean he's not doing his part as a culture-building guy in this locker room.
If something happens, soft tissue to him, or I'll never go major injury, but like a pinky hit, something happens, an injury happens, will much grace be given if fans start to correlate, well, you didn't get acclimated the way you needed to going into this offseason?
Depends on the injury. Like, if it's a soft tissue thing.
Like, it just raises him not being here now, raises the conversation and dialogue for later in the fall if he's not holding up his end of his contract or his play.
I think that you are right about that.
That's the only point.
He doesn't do himself a lot of favors.
Right. If you're telling me 89 of the 90 are here.
Yeah.
Just from the fans' perspective. I side with you. Just so you know.
Right.
But like the fans' perspective, which we hear, I guarantee you social media is spicy right now.
Well, give us your thoughts and give us your perspective at 615-737-1045. Does it move the needle for you? Do you care that Jeffrey Simmons has been missing voluntary workouts here in Nashville? Do you need to see him today? You can let us know about that on the phone, 615-737-1045. Coming up, if the Titans were to make the playoffs, how do they surprise everyone and get there? That's next.
We love being part of the moments that matter, which is why we're announcing employee pricing for everyone. You pay what we pay. Employee pricing at Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned, American made.
Hey, it's Ramon Foster. It's summer, and I am enjoying these long, relaxing summer evenings, and I'm enjoying the peace of mind I get from All-American Pest Control. Good people, man. You know I love All-American and their Complete Care Max program. With this program, you get mosquito misting and tick treatment for your yard, man, a termite warranty, and pest control for your house. All-American Pest is easy to work with. I feel confident they know what they are doing, and I really like their friendly team too, man. Again, I personally use them. My house is protected. I hardly see anything around. If I do see something, I reach out to them. They come out immediately, man, to fix whatever's going on with it. So check out their 5-star reviews and visit yuckbugs.com. That's yuckbugs.com. We've got a huge announcement from Two Rivers Ford. Just in, Two Rivers Ford is now offering employee pricing for everyone. That means you pay what they pay on almost every new Ford on the lot. And at Two Rivers Ford, what you see, and it's always what you get. They don't do things like add expensive accessories or tack on service packages to increase the price of the vehicle. Absolutely not. Two Rivers Ford is upfront and honest every single time, and now they're offering you employee pricing. There's no better time to buy American. There is no better dealership than Two Rivers Ford. They're locally owned and operated for over 40 years and home of the non-commissioned sales team. And now home to employee pricing for everyone. From America, for America. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
Ramon and Will, fueled by Scooter's Coffee on 104.5 The Zone. Scooter's locally owned all around Middle Tennessee in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. 615-737-1045. We asked before the break, Ramon Foster, how people felt about Jeffrey Simmons being the only Titan not here for voluntary workouts, for OTAs. Johnny in the Borough is first up. What's up, Johnny?
What up, Johnny?
Hey, guys. Good morning, man.
Morning.
Thanks for taking my call. It is absolutely stunning outside, like you mentioned earlier. Hey, I've been born and raised here in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm 42 years old. I've been through the good times, bad times. But listen, fellas, where he's at, where Simmons is at, is not my job. I'm not entitled as a fan to know where he's at. That's the front office's job there. If he needs another week, few days, whatever, to get rejuvenated for this long grind to make him 100%, you best believe I'm going to give it to him. He is definitely my leader on defense. And so if he needs a few extra days, he's definitely earned that. I would rather have Jeffrey Simmons at 100, obviously, than 80 or 90. I mean, that's common sense. So I definitely would. Hey, Big Savage, you better behave today. Y'all have a great day. Be good.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Johnny.
I'm going to behave today, Johnny. I promise I'm going to be good.
It's one of the best days of the show when Ramon doesn't behave. So don't you put that evil on him.
Johnny brings up a good point. Johnny's a very sensible guy, I could tell, man, and understanding. Just like the season is long. The season is like a grind, Will. Like I was listening to LeVar Arrington. They were speaking about Ragnow, the center for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that coming up here in a few minutes.
How he retired and like LeVar Arrington talked about why he retired and like he was just like the pain, the injuries, the et cetera that went into, you know, like his mindset and like when you're locked in the season, Will, like nothing else matters. That's the way it is in the season. Like, and then what you fight through to make it to Sundays or Mondays or whenever you're playing, like, I don't think people understand, like, how taxing that is. So if you are a guy that's been injured, and Jeffrey Simmons was one of those, what was it, both elbows, the ankle that he dealt with last year, he was beat to crap, essentially is what it was. So him taking the time to get his body right. I've seen some of his social media and Instagram where he's doing Pilates and everything else that you need to do as it pertains to trying to prep yourself for this reason. Now, his presence, I'll put it this way. I never missed an OTA. I never missed an on-field practice. But to your point that you said earlier, the position that I played, 5 got to work as 1.
Right.
That's a little difference than what the defensive line has to do. Jeffrey knows the stunts. Jeffrey knows the defense for the most part, and he understands how to play and what to do.
And he's proven that he'll be in shape and be ready.
Always is.
Based on who he's working with outside of the facility.
We saw him at the golf tournament. I think he said he's holding no more than 305 right now.
Right.
So he's already got that in check.
Right. And reports are, too, that he's been in communication with the coaching staff and with the organization. This is not some, ghosting the coaching staff and ghosting the team kind of situation. Let's go to Keith and Laverne up next. 615-737-1045. What's up, Keith?
What up, Keith?
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, I don't have an issue with Jeffrey not being there now. My issue with Jeffrey is the way that he's played.
Oh, Keith got sniped.
It's the way that he played. Keith, you
Let me
went out.
put Keith on hold for a second. We got a bad connection with Keith. See if we can give him a minute to get away from a dead spot. Keith, I think Justin's talking to Keith now.
Oh, Justin talking to Keith. Keith sounded like he was going to say the way he played.
Yeah. I'd love to hear the take on that.
Yeah, I'd love to hear
Go ahead, Keith. I think we got you back now.
All right, sorry about that. I don't have a problem with him not being there this week. My concern, though, is his consistency over the last couple of years. It seems like he takes plays off. His effort hasn't been consistent. Maybe it's because we've been losing, but he's been banged up, injuries here and there. He hasn't been on the field a whole lot. So his impact on the field, to me, I don't even know that I'd consider him a top 10 defensive tackle right now when you look at some of the, some of the best guys in the league. And I don't know. He's been inconsistent, and I don't know if that's because we haven't been winning or not. Yeah. But I'm more interested in seeing him having a dominant year than being in camp right now.
Yeah, no doubt.
Appreciate it, Keith. Where are you at on that one, Ramon? Has Jeffrey Simmons not lived up to expectations?
I don't think it's that. I think it's what Keith just said, though, too, in a sense of like the amount of reps that he's playing is not ideal for a defensive tackle. I'm looking at his snap count right now. He's playing 81% of the defensive snaps. Like the last 2 years, Jeffrey Simmons, since 21, Jeffrey's played 900 reps, over 900, over 800, over 650, and last year was 807 snaps at his position. I will say this, in the conversation I had with him when we were at the golf tournament, this was part of it, is the idea that he wanted to be able to pick and choose when he goes. Like, the reason Chris Jones is what Chris Jones is because they've got a young amount of talent around him that he can take off a series or two. And then, the impact for that position is what? It's, trying to get the double-digit sacks more than anything?
That's usually the easiest way we evaluate anyone on the front seven. I don't think that is a fair evaluation of a player in his position, though.
No, it's not. There needs to be, and I will say this, I think there needs to be another defensive lineman brought in to be able to help him and Tavondre and Art and everybody else for that case so that you can breathe. You're better at that position when you do what Philly has done. You got a crazy rotation.
Right.
Pittsburgh does it. Yeah. Cleveland does it often. Look at what Houston.
Yeah, I was going to say Houston is the big one.
Houston's a big one. I mean, and for years, Jacksonville has attempted to do it too.
Saxonville.
The rotation of defensive linemen, so I'm with you on that one. Well, I don't think it's fair to say he's done less, but I think it's because he's out there so much that I would listen. If I can get Jeffrey Simmons in November, December,
sure,
I'll take him then because I know he's got a lot of reps on his body.
To me, I don't think the effort critique is a fair one. If you want to pick apart Jeffrey Simmons' play and say, hey, for the amount he's making, he needs more sacks, I think that's a fair criticism. I don't agree with it, but I'm willing to hear that argument.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to hear an effort argument on Jeffrey Simmons. The guy has played through some pretty major injuries and made it work.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that as well as anyone, being down on the sideline and probably watching a lot of the things that he's had to do to get ready to play.
It was bad.
There's been a lot of things that Jeffrey Simmons could have let him take him off the field that he hasn't. So I think first and foremost, the effort conversation is not a totally fair one. To me, I think it's more about the lack of edge pressure to push a quarterback back up into the pocket where Jeffrey Simmons can get there. Because that, to me, is the thing that quarterbacks now that are athletic can do against this defense, Ramon. If Jeffrey Simmons is providing interior pressure up the middle of the pocket, but there's no pressure on the outside because the edge rusher position and Harold Landry's ACL injury and getting back from that, with the revolving door of who's been next to Harold Landry, with some inconsistency from Arden Key playing at a super high level, guys are just going to rush the other way. Like, quarterbacks aren't that stupid. They're just going to evade the pocket from the edges because you can't set the edge and contain some of these more athletic quarterbacks, regardless of what Jeffrey Simmons is doing. I just think he's playing a very thankless position.
Yeah.
Very thankless position.
Very much so.
Now, would I like to see more sacks? Absolutely. Do I think he could do more for the level of playmaker he is and what his salary cap number is? Yes. But I think two things could be true at once, that he needs some help from guys on the outside of that front seven.
100%. And that goes hand in hand. I mean, he's still doing consistently what you've expected of him. Ain't another Pro Bowl, whether he was the first time or alternate or whatever the case may be. But he needs help too.
So that brings us to our topic this morning here for hour number 2. If the Titans were to make a run to the postseason, how did they get there? And again, I'll give the same disclaimer. We are not predicting anything here. In our Ramon and Will hypothetical series over the summer, we give a hypothetical question and take a look at what had to happen to fulfill that question. So let's say hypothetically, Ramon, the Titans are a playoff team, which would surprise many locally and nationally. And that's all right. That's the level of rebuild you're at with a rookie quarterback. What has to happen for them to get there?
Winning, for me, sneak in some wins against last place teams. You're playing the last place schedule. That to me is Arizona. That's New England. That's Cleveland. That's San Francisco. That's Saints. Somewhere in between, Will, there has to be the ability to, you know what? We stole that one. And it's okay. I don't care if it's about 1 point or about 10. The other one for me is this one too. Being able to hitting yardage, winning that game next year, because you got a rookie quarterback that teams are going to try to light up and try to press you with this new offensive line too. Special teams has to be a huge part. Figuring out who's going to be the kicker and can you be good in that department too. I know Bones Fossils is a special teams coordinator, so you have a brain trust that you can believe in over there. And I'm going everywhere right now but the offense and defense, Will, because here's the point. If you can get those threes and steal and back people up, directionally kick and pin teams to where they got to go to long distance, you have a better success rate defensively. And if you also steal yards in return game, if Bones Fossils is that good of a special team coordinator to get an extra possession over the course of the game. Coaches brag on that stuff. They have a chart on success of scoring that if you get the ball by the 40, you can get 3. If you get it further, or if you back a team up, they have a harder chance to score too. And then I look at it this way, where Callahan and Cam Ward are too at this point. And yes, I'm projecting him to be the starter again. Where are your young quarterbacks on their schedule and new coaches also? That part of it to me, because it's a new system that they're also dealing with. It is a young quarterback that's just as experienced as yours is. Now, the only one I'm discounting from that one is probably Denver and Bo Nix and Sean Payton. That one's going to be a tough one no matter what. But you can start the season off with an AFC win on the road like that. That's huge. But, Will, in that young quarterback, new coaches conversation, lightly Denver, I put a question mark beside them. The Colts got to be able to knock off both of them. The same way they got the Titans last year, the favor needs to be returned this year.
Yeah, you've got to manage the part of your schedule that is given to you as a fourth-place team in the division last year of bad football teams.
Yeah.
And the Colts, if they still can't figure out something at quarterback, is still not a great football team.
We've said before, as we talked about like other positions, the offensive line, got to get back to average.
You do, and that's where I think statistically you've got to be above the bottom 10 in terms of pass protecting lines. So last season, Ramon, 3 teams that made the playoffs had bottom 10 pass protecting offensive lines. The Steelers, the Commanders, and the Texans in terms of most sacks allowed. Well, those 3 teams found other ways to A, get hit in yardage, like you mentioned, or B, do something else so successfully that it covered up how bad they were pass protecting. Pittsburgh last season, Steelers, plus 16 in turnover differential. Yeah. That's one way to negate the hit in yardage that's being taken away from you in sacks. Yeah. Houston, number 6 in total defense last season. The Texans. So you could have a bottom 10 offensive line and not protect your quarterback. You can still make the playoffs living that world in the AFC South. You got to be elite doing something else. Commanders had a bottom 10 pass protecting line last year. Now, again, that's a little bit of an inflated number as much as Jaden Daniels runs.
Okay.
But Washington was number 3 in rushing offense last year. So, again, unless you want to be top 3 to 5 in some category in the NFL this year, you've got to have a middle-of-the-road offensive line. That is one box you have to check to make noise this year. So, the Bucs were the middle of the league last year, 40 sacks allowed. They were the team that was right in the center. Chiefs as well, exact middle of the league with 41. 40 sacks allowed is where you got to be.
Yeah.
You can't give up more than 40 sacks if you're the Titans if you want to be a playoff team this year.
Yeah. And that's because it takes away from the opportunity of scoring. You mentioned Pittsburgh.
And it's a lot of 3rd and 16s. It's a lot of 2nd and 14s. Like, what is Cam Ward trying to do in the hero ball department to make up for when you get sacked on early rushing downs early in drives?
So them making the playoffs, I'm wondering, is that 2 teams out of the South? Because I do look at the AFC North right now, and I almost say to myself, one can, knock the other out.
That's a good point. You might have to win the division.
You might have to win the division, right? And that's where, to me, if that is happening, that's also why I say Cam Ward's had a real good year.
So the other parts of this, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the other numbers that often correlate to teams making the playoffs. I've got a bunch of these things that playoff teams have shared in common over the past couple of seasons. 7 of the top 8 quarterbacks last year, Ramon, in quarterback rating were on playoff teams.
Really?
7 of the top QB rating quarterbacks made the postseason last year. The only one who wasn't was Joe Burrow. It's the only quarterback who had a top 8 QB rating in the NFL who did not make the playoffs.
But that's also because of what you call superlatives for other teams that made the playoffs last year. The defense took away from what Joe Burrow was doing.
Right.
Yeah.
They were so bad.
Yeah.
And that's where, again, that's why I've got a lot of these boxes I think the Titans are going to have to check to get there. It's not just one of these. The Titans aren't deep enough and good enough yet to be able to do just a couple of these things and make the playoffs because the Titans aren't elite at any one thing yet, which is why you've got to be pretty good at everything. Yeah. But because you're not elite at anything.
And so real quick to your point before we got to go is this to us. When I asked a question about like, do 2 teams out of the South make it? Well, it was 3 teams out of the AFC West that made it last year. Mm-hmm. And that's where it becomes problematic as far as what is the West going to look like, how competitive it's going to be. They can cancel each other out and you can sneak in. I'm cool with it sneaking in.
And you've got all these teams playing different divisions on the other side of the NFC as well.
And the East, as far as AFC East right now, is Buffalo and. I think people are hopeful that Vrabel's going to get something going, but how much can you trust that at this point with
Bills
the Jets
are favored
and Miami?
in every game this year.
Bills are favored in every game.
So as of right now, yeah.
You can sneak in. You need somebody in the West to drop off. And, well, here's the other part, too. You're playing them this year. This is where you get a leg up on them. If you can, we spoke about earlier, stealing one.
So I've got 3 more boxes the Titans are going to have to check in order to have a chance at making the postseason this year. 615-737-1045. We'll do that next.
It's Ramon Will for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Good people, nobody wants to wait around. Hold up, it's the summer, man. Like, it's getting hot. You don't want any of these issues in your house, whether it's plumbing, HVAC, or an electrical emergency. Most of the time, you don't even know what it's going to cost or if it'll get it fixed right, or if somebody's just trying to sell you something you simply don't need. When you reach out to Hiller, man, their experts are going to solve your problems quickly. I myself know this directly. Anytime I've had an issue, Hiller's come over to fix and service no matter what, no matter the time. Man, and here's the cool part about it. The price you're told is always going to be the price you actually pay. There are no hidden fees or no surprises when you get your bill. They've been here in Middle Tennessee doing business for over 35 years and are family owned and operated. What you can trust about them are their techs. They're professional, and they're experienced, and they're trustworthy, and they're also background checked and drug screened whenever they're hired or go through the hiring process. And when they're on their way, you'll receive a photo of the tech and a link to track them in real time so you're not wasting any time waiting around. The motto is this: happy you'll build the service is free, and they absolutely mean it. So to learn more about Hiller or book with them, simply visit happyhiller.com.
Ramon Will at 104.5 The Zone, brewed by Scooters Coffee, 615-737-1045, our number. So we're having this conversation about if the Titans were to make the playoffs. Again, purely a hypothetical. If they were to make the playoffs, how did they get there? Ramon, I've got 3 more boxes the Titans are going to have to check.
You got me intrigued by this, Will.
This season. There is one thing that 0 playoff teams did last season, Ramon. There was not a single offense, bottom 12 in scoring, who made the playoffs last season.
Not those. Points matter.
Not a single one.
Points matter.
The LA Rams were the worst offense statistically in the NFL last season that made the playoffs. 21.6 points per game. Middle of the road is where you have to be at least, and that's with a more than average defense, better than average defense. That's with a good defense. That's a Rams team, by the way, that has a veteran established quarterback, and that is a Rams team that started to get a little healthy by the end of last season. So that number does not always tell the whole story. And again, if you could just hit certain numbers, then, why even play the season? Just go ahead and start the playoffs by the teams we think are going to be at certain numbers. I get that statistically doesn't tell the whole story, but the Titans last season averaged 18.3 points per game. You got to get at least on average a field goal better per game than you were last season.
Easily. The other thing, too, that this team hadn't had that also has to happen that playoff teams do?
Yep.
Win streaks. When was the last time they won more than 2 or 3 games in a season? Good teams find out ways to win games over streaks, over weeks, like a month of winning. They haven't had that here, Will, and I feel like almost 2 years in a sense.
Yep.
Like a month of winning, dude. 3 weeks of winning for the most part. Hasn't happened.
So the Titans last season, again, 18.3 points per game. So even if you get to that average point, like the Rams were the bottom of what offenses were to make the postseason last year.
Yeah.
They're also 4th in the league in turnovers, the Rams. So it's one thing, like your drives have to end in a kick. Some kind of kick, whether that's a punt, whether that is a field goal or an extra point. You can live making the playoffs with a pretty good defense, drives ending in kicks at 21.5 points per game. You really need closer to like a touchdown more per game.
No doubt.
You need 22, 23 points per game. That's going to be the mark the Titans are aiming for this season, just to get to average. And Steve Palazzolo, our friend from the 33rd team, talks about that a lot with offensive lines. The first goal is, for a team that is rebuilding, just get to average.
That's good.
Get to middle of the road in the NFL, and that would be it.
Yeah.
Second box, they're going to have to check Ramon Foster for me. First defensive box that we've checked. 40 sacks on defense.
40? That's
40
the
sacks.
number?
40 sacks is the number. Since the NFL went to 17 games over the past 4 seasons, that is middle of the road for NFL defenses in terms of getting after the passer. In 2023, 16th in the league, 45 sacks. In 2022, 40 sacks. In 2021, 39 sacks. So that's with a 17th game, and a lot of these averages and a lot of these indicators telling you where to be. Last season, the Buffalo Bills had the worst pass rush of teams in the playoffs, 39 sacks.
39 sacks.
19th most sacks in the league. You cannot be a bottom 10 pass rush group getting after the passer and have a ton of success, because you're forcing your defense to either A, force a ton of turnovers compared to what your offense is doing, or B, be elite in something else. And again, that's passing, that's running, that's special teams. You've got to find production and points other ways. Getting after the passer is your avenue to creating more turnovers, to getting more short fields for a rookie quarterback in an offense. That is what they're going to have to do to surprise us and be a playoff team. 40 sacks on defense.
And the other part of it is, though, too, to add to that is no extended drives because of penalties happen. That happened a good bit, I felt like, last year.
That's true.
They get to that point, and there's a hands to the face.
And if you get teams behind the chains, it's easier to get off the field without an illegal contact when you're defending on 3rd and 16 versus 3rd and 6.
100%. We saw numerous times last year was Sebastian Joseph Day or Jeffrey Simmons or Jarvis Brownlee. One of those guys would do something over the course of the game that extends it out, and you can't have that be the case. To your point about the sacks and 3rd down.
So offensively and defensively, it's 40 sacks.
Yeah.
Is what you're going to have to be in order to really surprise people. You can't give up more than 40 sacks on offense, and you got to get 40 sacks on defense. The third and final one, Ramon, Cam Ward's got to be a dude right away. for you to have a chance at being a postseason player. Last season, the average NFL quarterback, and again, a lot of ways you can measure this. I'm looking at quarterback rating as the way to measure the middle of the road NFL quarterback. Kyler Murray was 16th in the NFL in passer rating last season. He completed 68.8% of his passes, 3,851 yards, 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Middle of the road. If you want to be a playoff team, you got to be middle of the road in a lot of things or really, really good at a couple of things. I think this team's best chance of being successful this season is just getting to average. That is the first step in this rebuild. Get me to average at a lot of places. And for Cam Ward as a rookie, average NFL quarterbacking means you've had a very above average rookie season.
Hey, 68.8% completion percentage, I'll take that. If Cam Ward is there,
I'd take it today.
We're talking about, you said just give me a competent
It's like on Madden when you just sim the whole season. If you could guarantee me 68% of completion, simulate the whole season. We're good. We'll take that.
No doubt. And Kyler gave you 17 games last year, too. But to that point, though, about the completion percentage being a part of it, I think you look at that and you say to yourself, well, that means that the offense is moving in the right direction. He's comfortable in this offense, and you have a little bit of flair that he's adding to it, too, Will. And not just that, the protection. Completion percentage also means, protection is there also, Will. And that's to your point about getting back to average. And again, you better be able to capitalize on the AFC South in the state that it is right now. Mm-hmm. Those 6 games you have to play against those other opponents here, this is what it has to look like to me. 68%, running game has to answer, and there's no extended drives as far as the defense is going to be able to give you. Right. Or the defense being able to get. And to me, something we ain't talked about a whole lot, the takeaways defensively.
Right.
I'm going to have to look at the plus and minuses on the Titans' defensive takeaways, and I don't remember seeing that often. Well, I felt like, what was it, last year, Jacksonville, where they got one in Miami? Like, it wasn't a common occurrence as it pertains to this defense last year, being able to take possessions away from teams.
Last season, the Titans had 34 turnovers, and they turned opponents over 18 times.
That number's got to go up.
Minus 16.
That number.
Again, we're talking about Pittsburgh, who is plus 16.
Yeah.
Which is how you have an average offense and make the postseason.
Exactly. And that offense, I'm telling you, wasn't that good last year in Pittsburgh.
But they didn't beat themselves.
Did not at all.
They were plus 16.
So where can you get that? And then you look, who are the guys this year? You want it to be L'Jarius. You wanted to be able to say Ardens.
There's an element of health for a couple of key players that's just going to have to be there for them to have a chance this year.
And that's a different conversation, too, at a later date, is who are the players that you have to lean on this year? The X-players. Like, when you put on Madden.
That's a good point.
Who's the ring around on the field? X Factor. You know what I'm saying? Like, did I tie it up pretty good right there? It was pretty solid.
I like it.
But that's also, to me, is like, can Tavondre take that? Like, if he can become a rush specialist and a run stopper, I mean, you're cooking with gas at that point.
Would be great.
That would be great.
Would be a big step forward. 615-737-1045. Again, no one here setting the expectation. And I think reasonably there's been an expectation shift within that building that this is a rebuild and this is the start of what they hope is a process to get back to playing playoff games and hopefully a new Nissan Stadium. But I think a worthy exercise to have in June. To say, if they were to surprise us, how would they do it? So good stuff there. Coming up, there is an NFL player that shocked people with a decision he made yesterday. We'll get Ramon's take on it coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Man, they have my seal of approval on this deal that they have going on right now, where it's 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. I'm going today, as a matter of fact, man. But this is also where Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they just won't give up on you. When it comes to your back and knee pain, man, sometimes we just deal with stuff. But I'm here to tell you that Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are in the trenches fighting and helping to win the battle of pain. You guys know, like, a lot of us just deal with stuff. Oh, it'll be okay. Or you take a couple of pills or something like that. This isn't the case. This is a facility that wants to help you, that can help you. And I myself, My testament is it works, man. So no more pain down your legs, no more weaknesses, no more sleepless night, man. You got to say goodbye to those disc bulges, herniations, and spinal stenosis, man. There are no pills or spinal cream that can open up the spinal disc and take the pressure off your nerve. That's essentially what it is, man. With this state-of-the-art futuristic facility that the Wellness Institute they have all the high-tech equipment to get you feeling better at the facility. Cool thing is when you show up, you're no longer in the waiting room more than 5 minutes and you're back getting your treatment, man. So start the rest of this year off with a pain-free life, and it is possible by calling the Wellness Institute of Nashville at 615-246-5009 or go to painisbad.com.
It is 8:02 from the 104.5 The Zone studios. Good morning. I'm Justin Hawkins. Tennessee baseball is moving on to the Supers for the fifth consecutive season. The Vols got the bats going last night in the Knoxville Regional Final as they take down Wake Forest 11-5. It took a 7-run fourth inning, including 2 home runs by Manny Marin and Andrew Fisher, to catapult the win. Liam Doyle shut down Wake Forest with 5 strikeouts and allowed 0 hits, pitching the final 2 1/3 innings to earn the save. Tennessee will now head to Fayetteville for a super regional against Arkansas, which will begin this Friday. The Tennessee Lady Vols softball lost 2-0 to Texas yesterday as their impressive postseason run comes to an end. In NFL news, 4-time Pro Bowler and Detroit Lions center Frank Ragnow announced his retirement on social media after 7 seasons. Also, per Adam Schefter yesterday, the Philadelphia Eagles officially agreed to trade defensive end Bryce Huff, who had 10 sacks last season, to the San Francisco 49ers for a 2026 mid-round draft pick, pending a physical. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you've got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once. On your home for the Titans and Vols, this is 104.5 The Zone.
Ramon Will on 104.5 The Zone. A good morning to have a good morning. Brewed up by Scooter's Coffee and streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV. Scooter's Coffee is locally owned near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. We have amazingly quickly come to hour 3 on this Tuesday morning. Alongside Ramon Foster, I'm Will Bowling, Justin Hawkins, our producer.
J-Hawk.
And in 15 minutes,
hello,
Austin Price of VolQuest will join us.
Looking forward to talking to Austin, man. He was live tweeting the game and everything.
He was there.
Man. Yeah. I mean, I would be in the building, too.
He was right down the first base line. Absolutely.
Look at Austin, man. Getting to it. Not only is he golfing at the Masters, but he got front row tickets to the Vols playoff games and stuff. I got to start knowing more people out here, Will.
Masters Lottery is open, by the way.
For next year?
Oh, yeah. No, I've already submitted. Well, no, Peyton, my lovely fiance, has submitted on my behalf because she has more hope about things like that than I do. I don't even bother. Peyton's like, check your email, make sure. I'm like, I love you, but I don't think it's going to happen.
You don't want to live in that world.
I don't think it's going to. I don't want to get my hopes up.
To be let down like that.
No,
come on, man. See, that's why you need her in your life.
Maybe,
then,
and honestly, Peyton is such a ray of sunshine that if there is anyone that could get that, can I say that totally non-sarcastically? Like, I'm serious.
You already got her, Will. Like.
Is that, no, believe me, I know. And she is such a ray of sunshine, like good, positive person. Yeah. That if there's anyone who could win the Masters Lottery, it's her. I would never do it myself, but she could do it. So anyway,
with that being the situation, then, Will, I have to ask. If she wins, I'm hoping maybe it's 2 tickets. Do she take?
Yes, there's 2 tickets.
Do she take you with her?
Yes.
Does she allow you to go with one of the homies? Wes.
It'd be the 2 of us. Yeah.
You sure?
She wants to go too.
Oh, okay. All right.
I've gotten her so entrenched in golf. Okay. And in like Scotty Scheffler lore, because he's one of my favorite athletes that invested now.
I was just doing a vibe check on the relationship is all. Like, no. You go, Will. Take your brother. All right, I didn't know. Man.
Now you're going to make her feel bad.
I know. My bad pay.
Shut up.
My bad pay.
Shut up.
By the way, shut up. By the way, we're talking on the balcony as we bust a block. We'll know what bust a block is nowadays, man. As we bust a block, talking to Bird outside. She covered the zebra escape.
Yeah, Peyton did yesterday. News 2 at 11. There's been an update on the zebra in Murfreesboro every day.
Man, that's cold-blooded. I would have loved to have been on the trail.
There's even zebras are stuck in Murfreesboro traffic.
I would have loved to have been on the trail of that one. Like, did she have an off-road vehicle? Like, did she go across the highway?
I think
Peyton, I need answers.
Her feet are off the field off-road vehicles.
Peyton, I need answers, man. I need to know that you were in the trenches.
This is why we went to journalism school.
Did you have a lasso also to rope it? Like, these are the
I think
things.
it's been caught yet. It's still out there.
It hasn't been caught?
No.
I thought it was done.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
So, like,
if you have an update on the Murfreesboro zebra, 615-737-1045.
Yeah, I like to know that one, man. Like, do people also walk around with like tranquilizer guns? Because I was talking to my son about that. Miles.
Listen, in the South, who's to say?
Well, you know what? I'm just gonna assume that somebody has.
Just have a tranquilizer gun just in your glove box.
100%. I believe that, like Stifler did on Old School. Yeah,
sure.
Took one to the neck.
So Lions 4-time Pro Bowl center Frank Ragnow surprised people in the NFL and announced his retirement yesterday at the age of 29. Ragnow has battled through multiple injuries throughout his career. In 2021, he had a fractured throat. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell made him the league's highest paid center at the time with a $54 million extension over 4 seasons. He played 16 games last season, the 29-year-old Ragnow, missing the team's Week 4 game with a partially torn pec. Didn't miss a start afterward and was named to the Pro Bowl for the 3rd consecutive season. Tate Ratledge, the guy who has been drafted in Detroit, who is expected to fill in there at center. Ramon, what did you make of this, of a 29-year-old calling it quits in an interior offensive line position where he's been banged up a lot of his career?
We've seen it happen more often in today's world where guys get that bag, man, and have the ability to just bow out when the body says so. It seems to me that Ragnow had a good bit of decision-making injuries more than anything. The throat fracture situation. I think it was reported he had a turf toe that was so unbearable that it was hard to do almost anything. And here's the other side of it, too, for me, is Detroit plays a very physical style of ball. Detroit really goes hard with everything that they do. And you got to really put your mind, in a happy place, Will, to deal with the everyday grind of what Dan Campbell and his staff suggest of you. And then for me, it would be this: if I'm making a decision, if my body's done, there is absolutely nothing you can do at that point. If you got the bread, you got the respect, and you also got your dignity behind it, and you can walk away, do it. I suggest, I got a partner of mine that said they're going to have to drag him off the field. And he's still with the Arizona Cardinals, Kelvin Beachum. For the life of me, I know when it's no, okay? That's some guys, but others are just, I want to be able to walk away with my mind, with my ability to just be active with my kids, and I think that's what Ragnow is. So I'm surprised we don't see this more often, especially in today's game. Well, listen, if I can go get the accolades, the starts, if I can go get the money, right, and I can walk away, and the other part for Detroit is with both coordinators gone, they are, to me, almost in a purgatory of what the NFC North is at this point. I think they probably are the 3rd best team. So the chances of him and Detroit winning the Super Bowl, that's the decision.
3rd best team behind who in the NFC North?
In the NFC North, I'm going with Minnesota. And I would
J.J. McCarthy as our first-year starter?
I have to believe in what the head coach gave me. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
I would give it Minnesota, and I would also give it Green Bay. Considering they've lost both coordinators and players and position coaches on that team.
It just, to me, showcases the cruelty of the NFL. If you're a Lions fan, your window's closing quickly.
Fast.
Really quickly. And that is life when you pay a quarterback as much as you've paid Jared Goff. And it's life when you draft so many good players that then you have to start signing those players to extensions. And you need your core pieces to stick around and continue giving you hometown discounts versus what you could pay somebody else's draft picks and free agents. And losing a 29-year-old who's made 4 Pro Bowls, who is one of those guys, who, yes, you've had to pay, but is someone you would rather invest that money in versus someone that either you've drafted that's not ready or a guy that somebody else has drafted who's on the market for a reason. These are the kinds of cornerstone pieces that make perennial contenders. And from the team perspective, to me, it feels like Detroit might be entering a world where they're kind of like the Niners of the North.
Cincinnati?
To me, it's more like San Fran.
Okay.
Because San Fran plays that tough, physical, grimy style of football that I almost feel like, and again, I could be off base on this, they're just always hurt.
Always.
And the way that they play, the way that they practice, the way that they run that organization, it's the similar conversation we had about Mike Vrabel teams here.
I agree.
When you take up that lunch pail mentality, 1990s, 3 yards and a cloud of dust style of football, is there an element of that just beats you up more physically? Truly, to where you are more on the training table because of it, because of the way your culture is set. Dan Campbell coming in saying, we're going to bite off kneecaps. I don't know. It's one season. I don't think you can say that all of their injuries last season are just because they're an old school style of team. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm also not saying that, if you know what I mean.
Do you,
I think the two have got to be correlated a little bit.
I see. I think our chat is having a conversation within itself, and it's saying they got a franchise quarterback. Like, do we trust Goff enough without Ben Johnson?
That's a great question. We're about to find out.
And those are the things like you got to get
it's
yourself.
A great question.
Like Goff is a real good quarterback. I take
right.
him easily. Send him to Pittsburgh soon.
We've learned from Will Levis what it means to have a really good offensive coordinator prop you up for a year.
But like
the way Liam Cohen did for Levis at Kentucky.
Is he Mahomes level drag a team with them?
No.
Is he? You know what I'm saying?
He's
like
not.
How much of the play calling?
It's a great question.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and maybe that's what Ragnow saw too, because going into my last year, like I was thinking, like, I was honest. We ain't winning a Super Bowl.
Fair.
And if your body's banged up,
it's fair.
If your mind ain't in the right place,
like you have the most severe grade of turf toe that can't be fixed with surgery.
Yeah.
So it's like
I'm gonna compete, but like to get to Sunday is a problem.
It makes sense. That's a good question. And the alternate history of if Ben Johnson is still the OC of the Lions, is Frank Ragnow doing this? I have no clue.
And to be quite honest, was it their best year to go get it last year too?
I think it probably was, and that defense got so banged up in the secondary that they wasted a very good offense.
Come on, man.
Very good offense. Yeah. Couldn't stop a nosebleed late in the season.
Could not stop a nosebleed.
And I think the challenge now for Detroit is we're about to learn how Dan Campbell can manage a new staff for the first time. His eye for talent with coordinators. Similarly to the way Mike Vrabel and John Robinson built something good here. It was the sustaining what had already been built that was the issue. That is now the step that Detroit is walking into. Can Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell sustain what they've built for longevity in Detroit? I don't have the answer to that.
You know who he needs to call? Nick Saban.
Well,
how did you find the next one?
Noted good pro coach Nick Saban.
And I'm just saying, like, how did you find your coordinator? Like,
right. In terms of replacing coordinators, you're 100% right.
How did you find a new coordinator?
Nobody's done that better than Saban.
Yep. I'm thinking even Kirby in a sense, like not yet.
Just don't go talk to Belichick about it because A, Jordan won't let you, and B, he's about as bad as it was in keeping coordinators around once Tom left. 615-737-1045. To Knoxville we go. Coming up next, VolQuest's Austin Price on Ramon and Will.
It's Ramon Foster for Window Nation. Good people, man, it is time to keep your house cool this month, man. It is about to heat up. I think this morning the weather started off at like 71 degrees, so you know it's going to be a heater today, man. But Window Nation has some of the best insulated windows you can buy, man. Their windows frequently outperform and outlast ones from the expensive guys, and I do mean that, man. You can save money every month on heating and cooling all year long when people get Window Nation windows, man. They have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Cool thing is they do a 50-point inspection on every window before it leaves the factory and a 20-point inspection on every window when it's installed at your house. Installers who specialize in their many of them have over 15 years of experience, and they also have a 96% customer satisfaction rating and over 45,000, yes, over 45,000 5-star reviews. They have over 1,500 color combinations and styles, man. It's just what they do. Windows is what Window Nation do. Duh, it is in the name, man. So listen to me. To reach out to the company I trust, man, to schedule a free estimate, you can call Window Nation at 866-90-NATION or go to windownation.com.
Ramon Will at 104.5 The Zone continues on this gorgeous, sunny Tuesday morning in Music City. He is the 11-year NFL veteran, Ramon Foster. I'm Will Bowling, and when the glass breaks on this program, it means you are about to get the best Vols news and notes on the market. Yes, it means we are joined by VolQuest's Austin Price with lots to discuss in Knoxville, as always. Good morning, Austin. How are you?
I thought you were going to introduce me as the 11-year NFL veteran.
Hey, you got the experience of it, Austin, man. Look, nobody will tell the difference if they didn't see you in person.
Hey, buddy, listen. They would tell the difference between you and I.
Fair enough.
No doubt about it.
Fair enough. Austin, has there ever been a more lovable psycho in the history of Tennessee athletics than Liam Doyle? What a scene last night at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Just how impressed were you with this team's ability to kind of get over the hump in series-deciding games, something they'd not been great at down the stretch this season?
You're right. I mean, I thought that was kind of the theme going into yesterday is Tennessee's had how many, winner-take-all game threes this year, and their record's pathetic, and, I thought they managed the pitching staff really, really well. They knew when to make the right changes last night when guys started to get hit a little bit, and, then obviously had that 7-run fourth inning that kind of fueled them. But you're right. I mean, the only thing missing last night was the scene from Major League 2 where they're like, it's him, crank it, Jerry. And then Wild Thing starts. And, you really miss Wild Thing when he came out of the bullpen because the fans could see it was him. And so and then the more fans got to notice it was him, and it was like, oh, man. And just the energy on his trot in from the bullpen was man, it was pretty special. And obviously he pitched lights out. The question is that we'll find out here in about 35 minutes or so, like, will Tennessee be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or will they be a Saturday, Sunday, Monday in terms of when the Super Regional is played? And obviously if it was a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, that gives him more time to rest, coming off of a 31 pitch performance last night, followed up his 98 pitch performance on Friday night.
Well, there's no doubt I think the Omaha Chamber of Commerce would rather Tennessee and Arkansas go separate places. That way they could both get
100%.
there. There's no doubt about that. But also, when you look at this team in 5 straight Super Regionals, just the job Tony Vitello has done, and this kind of being the floor, right, of this is just the baseline of what Tennessee has been over these past few postseasons. What about Tony Vitello just gives him the ability to kind of push these buttons, Austin, because we're seeing another team maybe peaking at the right time, regardless of what happens this weekend, and kind of that box being checked once again, just Tony's ability to make that happen for this team this year again.
I don't know if they're peaking, but they obviously found a way this weekend. They're playing better. They still have some just mind-numbing plays, right? I mean, just the throwing error on Sunday from Dean Curley is one of those things where I watched the Vanderbilt game. I forget where they played in Wright State. I forget who they were playing, and second baseman had caught just a missile off the kid from Wright State, and thought about trying to double up the guy, and he almost double and triple pumped, but ate the ball. Said it wasn't worth trying to throw over there. And sometimes Curley's got to understand that that's the right play. The hero play is just, it's low percentage play sometimes, and they have to eliminate that. Like giving a team a run or two that they shouldn't have because of just bad fundamental baseball. And, those are the little things that still hold this team up. They're playing better right now than they played the back half of SEC play. But it's still those little things that put them in a bind, force games like last night instead of ending it on Sunday, could cost you a Super Regional at Fayetteville this weekend. But you hit the nail on the head. Omaha wishes those two teams were separated, especially with all the other upsets, right? And you got Duke playing Murray State. I'm sure Omaha would much rather have Tennessee and Arkansas separated, and one of them playing Murray State, one of them playing Duke with a chance to get both than only one.
Austin Price with us is one of VolQuest on 3. Austin, when you look at, I guess in today's game, you call the risk of having Liam Doyle come in and close that game out, man. One, what does that say about he and Tony Vitello's relationship? But also, today's baseball, that's unheard of, having a guy come back not on his rest days. On his rest days, man. But what does it say about his relationship he builds with those guys and Coach Anderson and the pitching staff, too?
Well, it just shows that, Liam is a ruthless competitor that at the end of the day wants to win. And the message to Tony was pretty clear. You could hear that from in his post-game comments last night. We didn't come here to not play, to not pitch, to not do whatever is necessary to make a run. And that was on his mind. He wanted the ball. And I think Tony probably would have had to fight him if he hadn't given him the ball. And so I was a little bit surprised at 10-5, or at the time, 11-5. He left him out there for the 9th. But I guess, because they never really had anybody warming up. It wasn't like they had like somebody out there warming up and, was ready to come in if he, were to go too many pitches in the 9th. I mean, he was out there and was going to pitch, and so he throws 31 pitches, and was throwing gas. I mean, 99, 99, 98, 93. I mean, he was moving it, and, I don't think this affects him for this weekend. I mean, no matter what day they start on, I mean, you could always throw Marcus Phillips out the jump. You did that the first time around in Fayetteville, and you won the game. Mm-hmm. And everybody thought, okay, this is going to be the series Tennessee finally wins. They won game 1 without Liam Doyle. Now you have him coming back in game 2, and then Tennessee dropped Saturday and dropped Friday and dropped Saturday because that was a Thursday through Saturday series to end the regular season. And, Tennessee, I think Tennessee's going into this series with no pressure. The defending champs have no pressure. Arkansas is a team that is playing really good baseball. Mm-hmm. They're playing at home. They won this series just a couple of weeks ago against Tennessee. But they're also the team that has failed to make it to Omaha and choked it up in regionals and super regionals the last handful of years. So to me, they're the ones with the pressure. Tennessee has no pressure.
Austin Price with us this morning. Austin, man, the level of play from underclassmen like Manny Marin, what a jolt that was, man. But it also speaks on the level of talent that Tony Vitello's recruited to come and play in Knoxville, too, man. They don't win that game if it wasn't for Manny, I don't think, and the spark that he gave. Austin, man, what kind of young man is he, man? And what kind of, I guess, mentality you got to have as Tony Vitello to trust freshmen in those modes right there?
Well, I mean, he's been Tennessee's third baseman really the back half of SEC play, and it's kind of just been coming along, and obviously the 3-run homer last night was pivotal, Ramon. To kind of put Tennessee just taking the lead on that wild pitch 3-2. He goes yard with a 3-run homer and makes it 6-2, and then of course we all know what Fisher did after that. I feel like some of the players, even a guy like Levi Clark is starting to round into form, as we head into this super regional in Fayetteville.
Mm-hmm. Austin Price of VolQuest on 3, our guest. You follow him on Twitter at Austin Priceless. Austin, switching gears on the football recruiting front, a Big Orange barbecue happening in Knoxville over the weekend. I love the different names we give all these events nowadays and 2025 recruiting. But there is one name that Vols fans know very well, and that is the last name Witten. Cooper Witten, making a lot of people feel old. Old enough to not only be a recruit, but a mighty good one. Where does Tennessee stand with him so early in his recruitment, and what is he as a prospect? How good is this kid already?
Well, he's very highly thought of, coveted, going to likely end up as a 5-star or a high 4-star, depending on the service you look at. And the kid has got great instincts. He runs extremely well. He's explosive. He's powerful. And all that stuff resonates at the college level. It resonates, beyond that. And he's a smart kid. Where does Tennessee stand? I think Tennessee's obviously right there at or near the top. I mean, I think he's very conscious to, really push don't just assume I'm coming to Tennessee because my dad went there. Mm. Now, I hear that a lot from legacy kids, and it's rightfully so. They're their own person. They have to be treated as such. Just because dad went there doesn't mean they're automatically going to go there. But Tennessee's not recruiting him like that. Tennessee's recruiting him as if his name is Cooper Smith.
Right.
Sure. Cooper Johnson, just a very generic name, not Witten. And I think not having dad and mom here this weekend, they had a wedding to go to, and he was by himself, and he hung out with the Pieces, Robert Peace and JP, who obviously just picked up an offer from Tennessee a couple weeks ago. I think that helped a lot because he got to kind of see Tennessee through his lens and not through his dad's lens. And when he's walking around, everybody's coming up to Jason going, "Hey man, I just watched you. You were awesome, great man, Cooper. Look at your dad's just the man." Da 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 da. He didn't have to deal with any of that, and I think that was great. And I think I don't know if the wedding was just happenstance or it was a nice buffer. Either way, I think it worked out perfect because I think Tennessee exits the weekend, having really knocked it out of the park with Cooper. Cooper will be back for a game this fall, in my opinion, and then they'll go from there. I think Tennessee's in a good spot, but again, I don't think you can just assume because he's Jason's kid that he's definitely coming to Tennessee. But Mom loves the Vols. Jason obviously played here. He loves the Vols. So ultimately, I think Cooper knows deep down where his mom and dad would love for him to go, but he's got to come to that decision. And so recruiting him as if his last name's not Witten helps get to that point. And so Tennessee's done a really nice job to this point of recruiting him, and others are not going to go away. They're going to continue to swing. The only way I see him not coming here is if he just says, I've lived in Texas my whole life. I want to stay in the state of Texas. If he leaves the state, I'd be stunned if it's not Tennessee. Again, I think that's the only way that it doesn't end up being Tennessee in the end is if he chooses to stay home in the state of Texas.
Austin, when you look at the other big fish in the pond for 2026, it seems like in the VolQuest chat and the write-ups in the War Room, Savion Hyder is the new David Sanders for this class. Fair assessment to say he's kind of the big fish Tennessee is closest for and kind of going after, and what is the latest kind of in that Tennessee-Michigan battle as Tennessee still kind of rides that high of getting him on campus here a couple of weeks ago?
I told a national guy the other day, I used those exact words. I said, Savion Hyder is this year's David Sanders.
Yeah.
And the person I was talking to knew what I meant. Now, is Tennessee, is it done to Tennessee? No, not by a long shot. Right? Like this, David Sanders was a little bit further along in the process than Savion Hyder is currently at this point. But I think Tennessee, again, has done a tremendous job dating back to 1st of April to get him really zoned in on, Tennessee, to get him feeling Knoxville, feeling the university, feeling everything that surrounds Tennessee football to the nth degree. And so I like where Tennessee's at. I feel like right now, if I had to make a pick, it would be Tennessee. Michigan is not going to go away. To me, they are right there with the Vols. I mean, if it's percentages, it's, half a point, right? I mean, it's very close. Ohio State's not out of it. They're running in the 3-hole, in my opinion, but they're still in it. And then I think Georgia is a distant fourth. I don't think that they're a real contender here, as we said here in early June. So, Tennessee's done a great job, but again, they have to finish it out. And then when does he make a decision? That's the real question to me.
Sure.
Because there's a notion out there that he may wait till football begins. Well, I mean, that's a long time, and that goes against the norm. The norm now is everybody takes their visits in June and then commits late June, sometime in July. The exception to that are the few kids that hold out all the way until the football season.
No doubt about it. Austin, is there a trend, I guess, in this recruiting cycle? Right? It seems to be a little bit more offensive, and maybe I'm just wrong, too, but I know they got heavy focus on the offensive line, which you have to. I know Darius Gray, if I'm not mistaken, is taking his OV this upcoming weekend. What do you know about him as a prospect, and just how do you see this class going as far as a focus this time around, this summer?
Yeah, I think, it's a mixture. It's not heavily defense, not heavily offense. I mean, you still have, some key players on both sides of the ball that you're trying to reel in. Obviously, I think probably the bigger names are on the offensive side. So, the Hyders and Tristan Keys, Darius Gray, you mentioned him. He'll be here this weekend. But then on the defensive side of the ball, you got Joel Wyatt, who will be here this weekend. From down there in the mid-state. So I mean, there's plenty on both sides. Darius Gray is a really tremendous player. The question is, what is he at the next level? I know he sees himself as a tackle. Is he a tackle? Do all schools see him as a tackle, or do they say, yeah, you're a tackle, and then when they get there, they're going to move him to guard? Because I think he can kind of play a little bit everywhere. I don't think he's a left tackle. I think he's a right tackle and a guard at the next level. Either way, I think he's a tremendous player, and LSU's deep in that one. Georgia, obviously, as well. Tennessee will get their shot this weekend. So Tennessee with a handful of visitors, and then it'll build even more the following week, and then that massive weekend of the 20th.
Austin, on the way out, Tennessee basketball hosting Dartmouth transfer Ryan Cornish on a visit, according to On3's Joe Tipton. A good three-point shooter, 17 points per game last year. Rick Barnes has got a pretty good track record of finding some of these guys, especially in June when it seems like the portal slowed down a little bit. How did this come about, and how serious you think Tennessee's interest there and Cornish's interest is there for Rick Barnes and the men's hoop side?
Well, obviously, interested enough to bring him in. Do I think anything will come of it? As of right now, I say no.
Okay.
But we'll see. All these prospects that come in for visits are, kind of we'll see how do they mesh with the team. How does their expectations for NIL alter what Tennessee's willing to give? Like, all that stuff can shift and change around, and it can be one thing 1 minute and another thing the next. But as of right now, as of 8:39 your time, 9:39 Eastern on this Tuesday, it doesn't feel like anything will go more than that visit.
Good stuff. Great info as always with Austin Price of VolQuest and On3 at Austin Price. Let's get him on Twitter, the very best covering Tennessee athletics. Appreciate you, sir. Good to talk to you, Austin.
I appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir. Austin Price with us here this morning, talking a little bit of baseball, basketball, and football.
A little bit of everything, man. Go round the horn. Get it?
Being in the mix, there you go, RIP. For a 5-star running back who's the number 11 player in the country, Savion Hyder, with Ohio State and Michigan. It's the kind of recruiting battle Tennessee's got to win more to get over the hump and beat an Ohio State or Michigan at the height of their powers. And you saw how big that gap was on their field in a playoff game last December.
That's what you're fighting up against.
It is. That's the tier you're starting to enter.
And also the conversation, can this team keep its shine minus the Nico situation too? I wonder how big that plays. Like Vols fans, I know we are, but like the pouring in the Joey Aguilar, George McIntyre, or Merklinger, like, you got to be heavy on that this year.
Right.
Because it needs it for recruiting. Just because, like, these little battles right here.
Sure. 615-737-1045 is our number as we wrap up hour 3 coming up. Tony Vitello with a great quote last night about being a punk. That's next.
Genesis Diamonds takes financing rates all the way down to 0. Right now, only at Genesis, pay nothing down and get 0 interest for 5 years on any purchase. Yes, any purchase. A handcrafted Sakura ring with a GIA certified diamond is only about $100 a month. Wedding bands, colored bands, fashion necklaces, just $40 a month. Pick any item, pay 0 down, and spread your payments over 5 years, even the sales tax. How about that amazing $3,000 pair of diamond stud earrings? Well, just about $50 a month. Luxury pre-owned Rolex watches are also included in this. While interest rates are still high everywhere else, Genesis is offering real interest rate relief, and you need to take advantage of this now. 0.0 for 5 years, all the way to the year 2030. This makes everything more affordable, and it's just the smartest way to buy also. So don't miss this amazing offer on all natural and lab-grown diamonds included as well. Now through June 30th at Genesis Diamonds on approved credit. So see store for details. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Ramon and Will, the 104.5 The Zone, wrapping up hour number 3, 615-737-1045 with open phone lines for the next half hour. Going to be joined by former NFL offensive lineman Ryan Harris coming up at 9:20. We're going to start previewing Titans opponents because why not, right? Plenty to get to.
I mean, we talked about stealing a couple wins earlier. How did the Titans make it to the playoffs?
Yeah, that's right.
Starts with a similar team like Denver.
So we will begin in week 1. Ryan Harris will talk a little bit about the Denver Broncos coming up with us here at 9:20. So Tony Vitello last night, after earning a 5th straight super regional appearance for Tennessee baseball, is trying to run it back like when he was a punk kid. Fun audio from Tony here last night.
And your initial thoughts on going back to Arkansas?
Hey, Ben.
I guess they win.
Yes.
Okay.
They won last night.
So, I mean, I did not that I didn't expect them to. I mean, I've talked to those guys before all this started, but I didn't know it was complete. When you're in the backyard, at least the neighborhood I grew up in, it was still kind of everybody meets out on the street and you play a bunch of games. And whenever I lost, maybe my dad did it to me, I was kind of a little punk. But I always wanted to, let's run it back. Let's redo it. So at the very least, my first reaction is we want to be playing this time of year, as does anybody that's left. I don't know if any other games are still going on. I haven't followed much of that stuff, but it's a blessing to be playing. And this team has been confident going on the road, but at the very least, they get a chance to redo the thing.
There's Tony Vitello yesterday. Great question by Ben McKee, friend of the show. They're leading into it.
It was. I love that he acted like he didn't know, and he probably didn't.
Honestly, I believe him. I think he's you get so in the foxhole and series like that where you're putting out pitching plans and a lot of late night meetings after games. I believe it.
I do too. Aware is what I would call Tony Vitello. Aware.
Yes. Right.
Acknowledging that he was a little punk kid back in the day. It's basically saying this, look, I'm going back here to grow up. To not be on the losing end of things and to also show that, look, this is what we're bringing to town and you guys not just going to treat us like we're just anybody. And of course, sometimes I feel like we talk about the Vols with the year they had this year, like they're not the defending national champions. But the sore loser side of things, the idea that, hey, I'm taking my ball and go home, or you got 3 games to decide what this series is going to be. I hope it just goes 2 in the Vols direction. But with that being said, his awareness of what he is there, I ain't gonna say one of the reasons he left, but like he's a different dude and with a strong team, and he's coming to take this time.
I think he's a different dude than even 3 or 4 years ago, to be honest. I mean, Tony is who he is, but
yeah,
I do think he is self-aware of his hot-headedness. Between the lines, too. Like, he calls himself a punk. Like, I think anyone who's ever sat down with Tony Vitello understands that there is a strong level of self-awareness to him.
Yeah.
He knows who he is.
Yeah, he does.
No doubt about it. But anyway, those comments like that are funny. He gets going after a win like that, and you just never know what he can say.
Anything. But that's also his squad, and that's how he, again, like you said, it's just how he rolls. But for all the people that dislike his style of how he lets his players just run and go, you can hear the baseball purists come out in him.
You can, and he's still got old school Greg Vitello in there too, of like the way he was raised by a old school baseball coach, high school baseball coach at DeSmet Jesuit outside St. Louis. Like, Tony's a little more old school than I think what he gets credit for.
Now, I'll say this too. This is my sociology side coming out a little bit, just slightly, and I'm probably all the way off base with this though too. Okay. But I view
to set up a point.
Yeah, no. Let me. I'm gonna walk you down this pathway. Yeah, let me cook. I feel like with the way he speaks about himself, being a young punk, it seems like he was a sore loser. Seemed like he went hard and was very knowledgeable because you mentioned his upbringing and how he was coached and how he was taught. He just fell short as an athlete. He fell short as a player. Yeah. He fell short on chasing his dreams. And it correlates, honestly, to how I feel like Coach Tomlin is. A guy that went to William & Mary that could play, but was raised grew up in an era where they didn't really look at small schools, or he wasn't good enough to get the attention of the NFL. And I think the way Tony recruits and let guys be themselves is what he wanted for himself as a player, and he likes to see that come out on his team. So I think that's why he let go of the reins a little bit and let guys cook and be, wow, Because if he could have had the talent to do the stuff that Liam Doyle did last night, right, he would have taken that opportunity.
I love you make a great point. I love what Griffin Merritt said last night, the former Tennessee outfielder who played at Cincinnati, tweeted out a video of Liam Doyle's 99-mile-an-hour fastball to strike out the Wake batter, strand a runner in the seventh. And he tweeted, he said, in an era of selfishness in college sports, how about this guy, Liam Doyle? Automatic first-round draft pick who has nothing to gain throwing tonight except throwing for his brothers in his school. Thank you, Liam, for making a volunteer baseball alum proud tonight. Griffin Merritt on Twitter last night. Chad Zerker, former staff member for Tony Vitello at Tennessee Baseball, responded and said, A.J. Russell as well. Franklin, Tennessee's own A.J. Russell said, both took the ball for the brotherhood and the moments you can't get back one day. We're going to see less of this in today's world of NIL, of transfer portal, of loyalty to the name on the front of your jersey, not just the back one. Liam Doyle could have severely hurt himself on 2 days rest. And Kyle Peterson made the point, like, you got to throw a bullpen anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well throw it against Wake instead of throwing a bullpen to stay ready for a Friday start against your own guys or just back in the bullpen. But so, maybe not totally crazy what he did, but still a risk for a guy who is a guaranteed first-round pick at the very least, maybe even guaranteed top 10 overall pick, Liam Doyle at this point.
We're talking about, we watched a millionaire last night be up on the mound, essentially.
Yeah, for sure. Well, not already be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
with NIL.
The check's signed, essentially, if nothing crazy happens moving forward. And I pray it doesn't, because, you're that close to chasing your dreams at this point. But way to submit yourself to the team.
I will say this, for the college sports fan that maybe is not as connected to college football or basketball because of the portal and because of NIL, and you don't feel like anyone has loyalty to their team, honestly, these non-revenue sports are for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you still have more elements of guys like playing for the team. Maybe in baseball, a sport that isn't as much about chasing that check in the immediate, because baseball NIL deals, while maybe at the top percent are lucrative, the 99% of baseball NIL deals are not the insane amount of money we're living in baseball or in basketball and football.
Probably mostly covering scholarship.
Right. Like it's maybe for guys that are not on a full scholarship to get them to a full scholarship or a little bit more than that. Mm-hmm. Like, there are not a lot of marketable, recognizable national figures in baseball the way there even are in basketball. If you're an old school college sports fan, get into college baseball.
Facts.
Because it still has a lot of that uniqueness and innocence. It's not totally innocent, believe me. Don't get me wrong. But it's got more of that than football and basketball do. Through no fault of anyone's in football and basketball, just the way the market's kind of dictated it.
And just the way the sport is played, too. It's more
the way
development.
the sport works, 100%.
Yeah, it's more development in baseball.
I agree. 615-737-1045, the number, fourth and final hour coming up. Titans set to hit the practice field. What do you hope to see on the practice field? What do you want to hear from Brian Callahan? That's next.
Two Rivers Ford announces employee pricing for everyone. Every tradesman, every dad, every rising star. You pay what we pay. Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned. American made.
It is 9:02 from the 104.5 The Zone studios. Good morning. I'm Justin Hawkins. Tennessee baseball, they're moving on to the Supers for the 5th consecutive season. The Vols got the bats going last night in the Knoxville Regional, beating Wake Forest 11-5 thanks to a 7-run fourth inning, including 2 home runs by Manny Marin and Andrew Fisher, catapulting the win. Tennessee now heads to Fayetteville for a Super Regional against Arkansas, which was just announced to begin this Saturday, June 7th. The Tennessee Titans are back on the practice field today at 11 a.m. as OTAs continue. Head coach Brian Callahan is scheduled to meet with the media at 10:15, and you can hear that on the Buck Rising Show. In NFL news, per Adam Schefter this morning, former Bills and Jaguars wide receiver Gabe Davis is scheduled to meet with the Steelers on Thursday. Pittsburgh has been seeking additional wide receiver help and has inquired about, but is not expected to trade for Miami tight end Jonnu Smith. For all your foundation repair and all your waterproofing needs, you've got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Ramon and Will, 104.5 The Zone, into the 4th and final hour on this beautiful Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Hope you're having a great start to your day. If you missed it, Tennessee is headed to a 5th straight Super Regional in baseball. They get Arkansas, Ramon Foster, next weekend.
Arkansas.
And coming up in moments, actually right now is the moment. Would you look at that? We have a start time. We have a schedule.
Let's go.
For the Tennessee versus Arkansas Fayetteville Super Regional. Clear your schedule for Saturday afternoon, Ramon.
Okay. That's
Saturday, Sunday, Monday will be the Tennessee Super Regional schedule. That is great news for Liam Doyle, who now gets an extra day of rest.
Extra day, yes,
recovering from throwing yesterday. Saturday, ESPN will have Game 1 at 4 p.m. Central, Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
Game 2 is going to be Sunday at 2 p.m. Central, also on ESPN. Game 3, if necessary, will be Monday at a time to be determined.
4-2 in the TBD.
4 o'clock Saturday, 2 o'clock Sunday, TBD Monday.
There we go.
If necessary.
Look at you heathens can go to church on Sunday, come home and get real ratchet.
Put chicken in the crock pot. I'll be ready when you get back.
Absolutely, man. That's huge right there, man. Austin just brought that up. He actually gave both options right there. It's not like he was actually Ostradamus right there this time.
Ostradamus. Crazy.
Because Austin
look at you being a radio entertainer, radio professional.
Hey, because he'll drop nuggets, man, and you'll be like, what did you just say? And then you see a news article, or you see a breaking news soon after he's done talking with us. Yes, I know. So
that's why he's one of our favorites. Friday schedule, the Louisville Super Regional, Louisville and Miami. Corvallis, FSU, and Oregon State will battle Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Arizona, UNC, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Dawn Davenport's Auburn Tigers will be Friday, Saturday, Sunday in the Auburn Super Regional against Coastal Carolina. That is one of 4 SEC teams that are still playing. Then you got UTSA, UCLA, say that 5 times fast, is Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Duke Murray's Saturday, Sunday, Monday. LSU, West Virginia in Baton Rouge is Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then Tennessee and Arkansas.
It's just good ball.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
This is
it's gonna be fun, man.
This is rivaling like MLB. I'm not even sure that MLB is competing with this one on this weekend with what's at stake. And of course, here's the other side too. I mean, this is playoff baseball. Like
it is.
Like MLB is just they're going through the motions right now for the most part. I ain't going down to Arkansas this weekend, but I will be in Florida watching this one ready. I'm talking about I'll be locked in.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
it's going to be toxic as heck. Tennessee and Arkansas are major rivals in baseball.
I mean,
major rivals.
Coach got a affiliation down there too.
That's right.
So it was that part. By the way, their stadium,
Baum Walker,
because that's what they have. It's a stadium.
No, that is the professional team in Arkansas.
Yes,
like the University of Arkansas is the pro team.
Like I know they talk about like everything is bigger in Texas, but to your point, the fact there is no pro team,
there's nothing else to do.
They pour in.
It's Fayetteville, Arkansas. What else are you gonna do? Respectfully,
go to Walmart.
You go to Walmart and heat up your Tyson chicken nuggets.
I will say, on Savage Radio, both of us this past weekend, this past Friday, acknowledged like Arkansas was high on the list. It was. I mean, and it's because to your point, what they sell you in recruiting. Like they can legitimately sell you the businesses there because I think every company that deals in Walmart has to have an industry there or have to have a business there also or a house, the networking that they have, and of course the Waltons. I mean, and then you see the facilities. I mean, what?
They got that Walmart money.
Yeah.
The way I've always understood it, too, for them in non-revenue sports is it's so easy to get into the school that you can get a lot of academic money and you can have people on academic full rides that maybe supplement their 25% or half athletic scholarships and get them to a full scholarship.
So what you're saying is the education ain't the first thing in line.
At the University of Arkansas, respectfully, nope.
We just say that on there, right there. Hey,
listen, it's not the center of academia at the University of Arkansas.
No,
they're great at a lot of things, but like, what do we? It's a great athletic department.
I mean, they named the guy Cadillac. Is all I'm saying.
Sure.
All right? No, that's Auburn. My bad. That's on me.
So Saturday, Sunday, Monday again. There you go for the Vols. 4:00 Saturday, 2:00 Sunday, and TBD, as Michael Scott would say, TDB on Monday. Micah in Nolensville here with us on this Tuesday morning. Hello, Micah.
Morning, Micah.
Hey, guys. So I think the Vols are getting hot at the right time. And to beat Arkansas, though, in this series, they're going to clean it up. They're still having some bad errors. Dean Curley's just got to sometimes just hold the ball. But I wanted to ask this. What would you say, whether they win in the Super Regionals or not, would you say that this team has met expectations for the season? I would say they have because we haven't been a baseball program before Tony Vitello really got here. And they have a 40-win season and had a really good season either way. But what do you guys think on if they met expectations, win or lose in Super Regionals?
It's a good question. Thank you, Micah. I don't think they have. I think Omaha's always the expectation for Tennessee. But I say that knowing that they are now the best defending champion in quite some time, actually. Ryan Shumber put this out there. Post-COVID, they're the first defending national champ to win a regional the next year.
Wow.
Ole Miss and Mississippi State both failed to make the tournament the year after they won the national championship. And then LSU last year lost in their regional final.
Yeah.
So in terms of those expectations, yes, they've actually exceeded them. In terms of the program's expectations, I don't think they've met them yet, personally.
No, I'm with you on that one. I think Omaha is it, especially when you're recruiting the way they are.
Yep.
You brought back guys and hit the portal the way you needed to. Like, we speak about the recruiting class coming out of high school, but like what Tony did and the portal, it reset what you needed. Now, of course, you've been in the position of where they mesh together. You know what I'm saying? Like the teachings that you're trying to teach them, the errors that they got to get rid of. Right. Like, I do think that's one of those things last year teams had that this one can't touch just yet.
I think it's a great question, though. A valid one. I could go either way on it, but I don't think they have yet.
Decided to look at a mock draft. Liam Doyle mocks number 2 overall to the Angels.
Yeah. Him and Christian Moore together, there'd be a lot of Angels fans in Knoxville.
Yes, it would.
Titans back at the practice field today. We will be out there, and Brian Callahan will speak to the media at 10:15. You'll be able to hear that right here on the Buck Rising Show. What do you want to learn from Callahan today, Ramon?
What I want to learn from him, the progress of the quarterbacks. That's first and foremost.
Yeah, it has to be.
It has to be. Not just that, and how the offensive line is coming together. That rotation. How is JC adjusted to being on the right side? I know he had a full week last week. Has he built upon that this week going into it too? Is for the practices that we did not see, and then the other part for me is the secondary. Where is the secondary? Because we can talk about sacks and getting to the quarterback, but if they can't cover a baby coming out of the hospital, well, then what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is that? You know, like that's the most simple thing. Like, swath the baby. Like, what are we doing? Do you have DBs that can do this? Like that plays a part into that sack number and pressures and TFLs. Man, if that group can't stop a nosebleed or getting penalties, I need those answers.
Can L'Jarius Sneed put receivers in swaddling clothes?
Man,
that's what Ramon Foster wants to learn.
Can they put baby in a corner?
Can they cover a newborn leaving the hospital?
Seriously. Like, we're joking about this, but that is a real thing, man. Like, I don't know what the secondary is going to be. I hope it turns into something, but if as much as we talk about Jeff and Arden, et cetera,
yep,
that group right there got to start knocking at the door on game day.
Sure. Ben wants to get in on Tennessee, Arkansas before we get to Ryan Harris on the other side. What's up, Ben?
Well, first of all, boys, love the show.
Thank you.
And I got to say, woo, pig suey. I played baseball at Arkansas in the 90s.
Oh, nice.
And, yeah. Back in the Norm DeBryan days, we had some good times on campus. I'll tell you a funny story. You're joking about education. The biggest building on campus was actually the poultry science and engineering building.
Oh.
And it was the best. It was actually the most well-funded building outside of Bud Walton. And fun fact, if you've ever been to the baseball stadium there, they do pig roasts in the outfield. There's pig pits where they roast a hog every home baseball game. Yeah, every home baseball game, the fraternity boys throw a hog roast in the outfield. I don't know how many pits there are now, but there used to be 3, one in each field. And they would full on, they're like 10 feet deep. They throw in a whole hog, roast it the day before, and then just throw a mosh pit party in the outfield. That's where it all happens. So if you ever get there, get to the outfield. Don't get a seat. Go in the outfield and get a whole hog. It's a good time.
No,
thank you, Ben.
Sending RJ and Miles on a recruiting visit. I mean,
don't tip me with a good time. You promised me a whole hog. I'll show up. I'll do it. Okay.
The only place I've ever had that is in Hawaii. Okay,
thank you, Ben. Appreciate the call.
Didn't know your
best
style
of luck to
in
your
Arkansas.
Team.
Yeah, best of luck to you. Look at us.
Look at us building bridges. We'll have to talk more with Ben on as we get closer to Trash Talk Friday, as we call it on our with our good friends 3HL.
Yo, Ben, you don't be afraid to call back in and drop more nuggets.
It's not Trash Talk Tuesday. It's Trash Talk Friday.
Trash Talk Friday.
There's no such thing as Trash
Never
Talk Tuesday.
jump the line.
We don't have the technology.
Ever jump the line.
Coming up, Ryan Harris, former NFL offensive lineman, will talk about the Titans' first opponent. We'll talk a little NFL, talk a little Denver Broncos with the former Bronco coming up. Look, anytime we have the opportunity to bring on offensive lineman friends of Ramon Foster from his 11-year playing career, we just got to do it. And we're also starting to look at Titans opponents here on Ramon and Will. We are brewed up by Scooter's Coffee. Ramon Foster, Will Bowling. We are joined this morning here in hour number 4 by Super Bowl 50 champ, broadcaster you hear everywhere in the radio waves, college football, pro football, you name it. He is Ryan Harris joining us here this morning. Ryan, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
Will, brother Ramon, great to be with you this morning.
Great to be with you as well. I always know we've got a good conversation coming up when Ramon's like snickering. He's happy. It's just like Ryan Harris. All right. That is how Ramon is getting ready for this interview seconds ago in the commercial break.
I'll tell you what, Will, sometimes with certain players and teammates, you're starting to think about the things you can't talk about, and that's what makes you laugh. You know what I mean? Can't even go there. Well, no matter where this conversation goes, it won't go there.
We cannot, man. Absolutely not. But, Brother Ryan, I'm not sure if anybody ever known this, but, man, Ryan Harris almost lost a leg in a game and still played in it.
Oh, my gosh.
Ryan, how close were you to, losing something in a game?
I'll never forget after the game, the doctor said we were hours, if not minutes, away from having a different conversation you would not have liked. The infection had gotten to the bone, but, more importantly, we beat the Chiefs. So looked out, cut my leg, and, by the skin of my teeth, boys, by the skin of my teeth.
That's the headline. Beat the Chiefs. Sub-headline, Ryan Harris almost lost a leg.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, that's nuts. I never forget that.
And then Ramon had to go to work the next day like nothing happened.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the other thing. Ryan's where? In the hospital? Almost lost a leg? All right, let's go over the film, boys.
He'll be all right.
Just skip that play. All right, let's go to the next.
Get this Victory Monday in, baby.
That's
crazy.
Super Bowl champ Ryan Harris with us, starting to take a look at some of the Titans' opponents. And starting in week 1, Ryan, I think Denver is so fascinating entering this season, and what Bo Nix was able to do last year in year 1. Just how good are the vibes right now around that Broncos team? And my goodness, how good can this secondary be? Because we're sitting here looking in Tennessee saying that's the first defense Cam Ward's got to play. It's going to be a big challenge to start the season, which will be here before we know it.
Well, no question. Denver believes the championship window is open, and it's because of Bo Nix and what he was able to do. And look, guys, he threw the longest pass in the NFL last year, and it was for a touchdown. 69 yards in the air. This is the kind of thing where he is making huge throws, and that was an overtime loss in Cincinnati in the last quarter of the season. So the growth that Bo Nix has gone through has been incredible, to the point where it's the first time in 10 years that the Broncos went to the playoffs, and they had a first scoring drive. But Ramon will tell you that first playoff game, I don't know who wins their first playoff game, because it is so intense, so physical. And the best thing, guys, Bo Nix was asked by the media, how does it feel after all your success? He says, I haven't done anything yet. I have a lot to prove and a lot to show. I thought, wow, a lot to show. All right. So he's got the right attitude. They added Dre Greenlaw from the 49ers and Hufanga from the 49ers to that vaunted defense you're talking about, Will. This is going to be a team that's competing not only for the AFC West, but therefore a Super Bowl championship.
We're joined by Ryan Harris, Super Bowl winning offensive lineman, former Denver Bronco. Also, as we're discussing the Titans' future opponents in the Denver Broncos. Brother Ryan, man, you mentioned something Bo Nix, and it sounds to me they drafted a guy that was meant for Denver, and I feel like the exact same thing happened for the Titans and Cam Ward, too. If you could, man, walk us down what was the conversation around Bo, because I think some people had questions about him, and to see the payoff that Denver is having for the next probably 15-plus years on taking a quarterback, what has he meant, him and Sean Payton, to the Denver Broncos franchise?
Well, Brother Ramon, it's a great analysis, because I'll tell you what, just like Cam Ward, Bo Nix had a different offensive coordinator each year he was in college, right? But not only that, Bo Nix succeeded throughout college through those different coaches, and now for the first time has the same offensive coordinator and head coach since he was in high school. So what Bo Nix has been able to do, though, going through those different playbooks, is he understands how to learn concepts. And that's one of the things that's so hard for young quarterbacks to understand, not just what the formation is, where the motion's going, but what's the concept? What's the overall picture of why we're running this play? It's to set up 3 different plays, and that's one of the things that Cam Ward is going to be able to do. I'm thrilled for the Titans because Cam Ward, I thought, was the best player in the draft despite all the noise. And I'll point to one little video with him and Mr. Sanders. And Mr. Sanders says to him, hey, what, you got any beats or anything? You got any tracks? He goes, I play football, man. He goes, what do you mean? You don't do anything on the side? He goes, I play football, man. And that's exactly what Bo Nix did in Denver. He had that same mentality to the point where Sean Payton was so surprised at how much he was focused on football. He asked him in the pre-draft meeting, he said, empty your bag. He emptied out his bag. He had the rolling ball for his muscles. He had a football, his playbook, and a Snickers bar. I mean, that's the kind of backpack Cam Ward's going to bring. And with that kind of flexibility, adaptability, and experience, Cam Ward is going to make an impact immediately for the Tennessee Titans.
No doubt about it. Ron, when you look at the Denver Broncos offense, man, I start with that offensive line too. It seems very similar to what the Titans have done. And we ain't even look at the Broncos as it pertains to how they built that team up around Bo Nix. But Mike McGlinchey being one of those guys, you got a hometown guy in Vols, right? And you have a guy, Quinn Miners, who's also grown up the same way that you have Peter Skoronski here, man. What has that group meant for Bo as he try to ingest that offense and learn too? And what problems could they present with this group that's grown up together in Denver to opposing defenses like the Titans and Jeffrey Simmons?
Well, Ramon, you said it, and you know it from your experience, and you taught me this as well. But when you have an offensive line that plays together, it really raises the talent level of that offensive line, despite the individual talent on the offensive line. Mm-hmm. Garrett Bowles has now played next to Ben Johnson for a while, and so they know how to communicate to each other. They know what to look for. They know instead of saying, 58's coming, and now Will's blitzing off the edge, and he knows who has him versus, hey, and then, okay, now we're picking up the blitz, and Will has no idea who's picking him up, do you, Will? So that's
Never.
the kind of hurt box that the offensive line can put him in, and that's what you're looking at with the offensive line. And the Pittsburgh Steelers know this. The New England Patriots know this. Perennial playoff teams know this, like the Ravens and even the Chiefs. Hey, do you think they got the message? They watched the Super Bowl film too, went out and got a bunch of linemen. So if you want to win, you need to run the ball. And if you have a great quarterback, he needs the time to throw it. And all of those things are solved by having an excellent and experienced offensive line. Denver's bringing that back. And I really do like how the Titans have put together their offensive line as well.
Ryan Harris with us, Super Bowl champ and former Denver Bronco, former NFL offensive lineman. When you look at ways to compete in the AFC West, you got to have a great secondary to go up against the quarterbacks that you play 6 times a year total, and the head coaches. I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of experience just at head coach alone when you compare that to divisions like the AFC South. But, Ryan, looking at this secondary, I mean, on paper, Jahdae Barron comes in from Texas, Riley Moss, Brandon Jones. You mentioned Hufanga, obviously Pat Surtain. Can this be the best secondary in the NFL? Is that a reasonable expectation for this group this year?
No question about it. Not only reasonable, that is the expectation, Will. And you mentioned, some of the players. Patrick Surtain, I think the best corner in the NFL, really baits quarterbacks into throwing interceptions. You talk about Riley Moss. I mean, he's one of one now, boys. I mean, he's the
100%.
He's the first one since Seahorn there for the Giants. By the way, he was an all-state track champion in Iowa, so this kid's got speed. But Hufanga came because of this secondary. He said, I looked at this defense that played really well. I wanted to join them. You got Vance Joseph really coaching for a head coaching job, and you got a great defensive line that's going to help put pressure on the quarterback led by Nick Bonito. So this defense is going to be tested and has been tested by some of the best. And the new additions of Greenlaw and Hufanga, they want some more, they want some more, they want some more. So it's going to be a tough defense and one that's looking to make its mark. And you got to remember, at the last time the Denver Broncos went to the Super Bowl, it was a defense that propelled the way. So there's a high expectation of excellent defensive players, and they've got a unit that's going to really make it tough for teams to get yards.
Hey, man, listen, we're talking NFL, brother Ryan. You ain't got to drop the Irish at any chance that you get.
Did I put that in there? Guys have a way of making sure you mention the Irish once in a while,
I was just about to go to running backs and ask, did you have a part in Audric Estime being brought to Denver, the Irish connection there?
No, it's crazy. Ramon will tell you this. All these smart coaches never ask the players who are around them who have won what their opinion is. I don't know why. But no, Notre Dame has just, Estime is one of many that are in the NFL from Notre Dame, the most drafted players out of a university. And I'm sorry, Ramon, I didn't see Tennessee in the playoffs. Did y'all make it?
Yeah,
or
we
y'all
did.
The reason why we're going to 16 teams?
Yeah, we did, as a matter of fact.
We were in Columbus, but we were there.
Hey, don't exclude us from the party, okay? How about join a conference for once, okay?
Hey man, we want all our money. You forget Notre Dame's a part of the Vatican now. We don't share very well.
Well, all right, Ryan. Well, I'll bring you and Ramon back together then and say that Denver did draft one of Ramon's big draft crushes this year, Pat Bryant, the wide receiver out of Illinois. You guys could talk more about just the pedigree and the mentality of that guy. But what's kind of been your first impression of him and just some of these other rookies that have been brought in? Because between R.J. Harvey and Pat Bryant, that's two immediate playmakers drafted in the second and third round for Denver that can play right away.
No question about it. And Pat Bryant, to me, reminds me a lot of Brandon Lloyd. Just an ability to get the football, has speed, adjust to the football in the air, which young receivers, if you're listening, I don't care how fast you are and how much you can catch in stride, you need to be able to adjust to that football, and Pat Bryant can do that. And I always like, too, a player who was the top talent on their team who still produced. I mean, I think about Ty Warren from Penn State as well. I mean, everybody knew he was getting the ball. He still gets 120 yards. I mean, those are the guys that find ways to get open, and Pat Bryant at wide receiver is going to give some options and depth to the Denver Broncos. And you talk about R.J. Harvey. I mean, there's a team captain, not tremendous speed, but he's going to explode right into that line of scrimmage. And let's be clear, most running backs aren't running for 40 yards. It's 7 yards a pop, and you got to get in there quick and hurt somebody while you're doing it.
No doubt. Man, there was an exchange of free agents. Brother Ryan Harris with us this morning. Cody Barton signed with the Titans at linebacker and will probably be one of the inside starting linebackers. What did you see from him and his level of play, man? He talked about his ability to just honestly wait his turn, and when he became a starter, he never got back out of it. What kind of player can the Titans expect from him? And, I mean, a little bit of a payback game, too, considering Denver probably didn't offer him what he wanted to stay in Denver.
No question about the fact that Cody Barton's going to have a chip on his shoulder in that first game. But what you're getting is an experienced player who's particularly last year had a tough game and was picked on. And what did he do? He decided to fix the problem and came out, had a pick six, I think, the next game, and really turned his play around. And that's the reason why he's in Tennessee. And there was not an agreement on the price, because he said, no, my brother, the price went up. The Broncos didn't think so. And here he is at the Titans. But he really improved on his ability to cover tight ends in the backfield. And that's something where in today's NFL, you can no longer have a linebacker that just stops the run. You've got to be able to cover. You've got to be able to take that step thinking it's run and bail out and still find your responsibility. Cody Barton can do that, heavily experienced. I believe it's his 7th or 8th year in the NFL out of Utah, and he's seen a lot of football. And Ramon will tell you all listeners, the more football you see, the slower it becomes, and the more you know what's going on, you can anticipate. And Cody Barton's going to be able to do that for that Titans defense.
Man, and how much of the Denver Broncos being in the AFC West has somewhat expedited this process of finding the right head coach in Sean Payton and being able to go get that quarterback too? Because when you play against a team like Kansas City Chiefs yearly, the pressure to compete within your division to try to win it, because that's the first step to making the playoffs. This time around, what has the benefit been like to watch this turn around quickly?
It starts with the championship expectation. And if you're beating the Chiefs and you want to win the AFC West, that likely means you're the number 1 or 2 seed in the NFL, in the AFC, right? So it takes away that whole, let's get to the playoffs, guys. Like that's a false step in development. And in the AFC West, because we need to beat the Chiefs twice, that means we need to be able to beat everybody in the NFL twice. And by the way, because you're in the Chiefs division, you're not beating them twice. You need to beat them 3 times, right? And so you look at that too with the Commanders and the Giants, the Commanders and Eagles. The Commanders might beat the Eagles twice in this upcoming season, but they're going to face them a 3rd time in the playoffs, and that's the one that matters. So the mentality and being able to prepare your players for seeing a team 3 times that actually might be the AFC Championship each 3 times, that's something Coach Payton understands and has done before, and it has no flutter, no flinch is what I call it. He's not going to flinch in those big moments. He expects it. He prepares the players for it, and they can go out and execute. And they got a great taste in Buffalo in the playoffs last year, and they also got a taste of what it takes to win in the playoffs, as they had 1 scoring drive, and that was it.
Ryan Harris, Super Bowl winning NFL offensive lineman, talking Denver Broncos with it this morning. Ryan, I got to give you a chance to talk a little bit about Notre Dame. You did mention them. And look, it's one of the most fascinating teams in college football this year as they reload after making it all the way. And probably a team that doesn't get enough credit, honestly, for how much they came back against Ohio State late in the national championship game. When did you know Marcus Freeman was this good of a coach to get Notre Dame back and get them back to a national title? Because I think this guy, Ryan, is as likable as any coach in college football right now.
Well, it started with what he did as a defensive coordinator against Caleb Williams when he was at USC. I mean, totally shut him down in the final game against Notre Dame. Caleb Williams is throwing his helmet on the sidelines, really showing you what he's been so far in the NFL. And you think, man, there's a coach that understands not only who he's playing, but how to stop him and believes in it. And then the players that he's gotten on the roster. Currently, their 2026 recruiting class is number 2. That's ahead of Ohio State. Who knows what money says in a year, but that's still, he's got the guys, he's got the commitments. And the types of players he's bringing in, a Benjamin Morrison who went to the NFL despite not playing much this year. You got Dr. Watts, a.k.a. Xavier Watts at safety, who came in and got the Nagurski Award and stayed. And, oh, by the way, he was the only program that had 0 transfers on the way to that national championship. So he's building a culture of expectation, patience, and performance. And Marcus Freeman is going to be knocking on that door again these playoffs with the Irish.
No doubt. Good stuff.
That's dope, brother Ryan. Look at you get all
Ryan Harris joining us this morning, talking a little bit of Titans, a little bit of Denver Broncos, and Notre Dame here as well. Great stuff, Ryan. Good to catch up with you, man. It's been a minute. Love to get you back on soon.
Great to talk to you, Will. Love you, brother Ramon.
Love you too,
Peace,
my
everybody.
brother.
Yes,
Absolutely.
sir. Ryan Harris with us this morning. Great stuff, talking Denver and starting to preview Titans opponents.
Man, you ever meet like teammates? You heard them a little bit. Just in 1 year, they just become one of your guys. That's Ryan.
Nice.
Brother, like
how long were you guys teammates?
A year.
Just 1 year.
And
okay.
It's like we grew up together in NFL. Like, brother Ryan, man, is just a dude. Like, you know how some people, I give you the shirt off my back. No, Ryan actually means that. Whatever you need, bro. Like, that's awesome. Just him. Also in school, too. He's going back to be a lawyer right now.
Wow.
So that's huge. We almost had a conflict in time. He said he's working for the district attorney on some stuff right now. So It's crazy, man. Shout out to him.
As if he wasn't busy enough doing like a ton of football broadcasts every weekend.
Also, you don't hear no defensive lineman going to be a lawyer,
right.
do you?
615-737-1045. We'll wrap up the show. Headlines on the way out next.
Is your concrete in need of repair? Maybe your sidewalk is shifting, your driveway is cracked and sinking, or your porch steps, maybe they've moved on you. Shifting concrete can create dangerous hazards just around your home, man. It's also just a big eyesore. I'm Ramon Falston. This is where United Structural Systems can help you. Whatever's going on with your concrete, reach out to USS. Ask them about their polyurethane foam injections. You've heard about USS for a long time. It's the same company that has provided superior foundation repair and waterproofing to Middle Tennessee since 1994. Well, they can also fix your sunken or settling concrete. USS uses polyurethane foam injection to lift and repair your sinking concrete in a matter of minutes. Lifted concrete can be walked on immediately or even driven on after 30 minutes. So don't go through that long, expensive process of ripping out and replacing concrete. Reach out to the company that I trust, man. It's USS. You can go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com. Or call them, 615-488-7855, United Structural Systems.
Ramon and Will, 104.5 The Zone, fueled by Scooters Coffee. Wrapping up the show. Go by and get you some Scooters this morning or this afternoon, this lunch. Locally owned near you, Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. I've been to Scooters for breakfast. I've been to Scooters for lunches. I've been to Scooters for an afternoon pick-me-up. Regardless of when you go, it's going to be fast. You're going to scoot on down. You're going to like what you get. It's fantastic.
I like it.
Justin Hawkins putting on the finishing touches of a Drake Day here on the show. Was this trying to will Canada to their first Stanley Cup in 32 years?
Yeah, I don't know. It started that way, and it just kind of went from there.
Okay. Sure. I'm not mad about it.
I'll tell you.
You have the power.
Yeah, he does.
I got the power. Yeah, that's right.
What was that voice right there, Jay? Was it alto? Is that the right one for it right there?
See, those kinds of foolish things we can't say and do into the microphone because Justin can save them.
He can.
Again, that's the power the producer holds. You can say whatever the heck you want, and it can never be used against you.
Man, that's insane. By the way, man, I got some relationship advice for you, too, by the way.
For me?
Not in a crazy way, just in a realization mode type of way, okay? Don't work out with your spouses and wives, okay?
Oh, okay.
Not like 100%. You can lift. Like, lifting with them is different, right? But, like, Keisha and I went on a walk yesterday, okay?
What's wrong with that?
Pace is insane. Pace is just dumb.
Is she going too fast for you?
Listen to me. We're coming down the hill, and down the hill, I'm just cruising on down, marching. She's power stepping down the hill. I'm just like, I can tell you never blocked a defensive lineman before. You know what I'm saying?
That's heinous from you.
Hey, man.
Come on.
I'm looking at our pace yesterday on a walk it was damn near
We go straight from walking too quickly to, well, you never blocked the defensive lineman.
Well, all I was thinking is like,
that's how hurt you are about walking pace?
No,
Keisha, I got your back.
It was awesome because I was like, yeah, this is legit. And then we started, like, we got two crazy hills in our neighborhood. One is just like a long incline, and the other one's just straight up.
So you got PTSD on that.
Listen, man, hear me out. That
you said I did my time doing hard work.
Yeah, and then
I'm here to do moderate
off,
work now.
Our crib is on the hill, so like coming, like walking up. You're right.
Oh,
you're right. You're right. You're right.
Ramon said I walked uphill both ways up to my house up there on a hill, high over humble Henderson.
Hey, you're right.
Where Ramon Foster lays his head.
Hey, man, listen. What I'm saying is, when I'm done with my couple miles that I'm walking her at this insane pace, right? As my guy John just hit me, it's like them knees is a little bit different. You're right. So I walk backwards up them to take the pressure off to actually build up the hamstrings too. That's a little pro tip for you.
And the neighbors, honey, the Ramon he's walking backwards again.
That's just what it looks like.
Honey, the neighbor's walking backwards up a hill again. Should we do something?
No, my boot thing was crushing the walk. I was just like, I'm here for life too. You trying to kill me though?
See, for me and my wife, we're the complete opposite. I'm too competitive. That she hates when I push her so much that I cannot work out with her unless I don't say a word.
Hey,
because otherwise, she's going to get so pissed at me that it's going to be a long walk.
It's going to ruin what a good
walk up the hill on the way home.
It's a whole lot of truth in it. Like, there's a balance between, like, working out with them and also, like, putting stuff together. Like, together. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys put a cabinet together.
Oh, we put together patio furniture.
Was it good?
A couple months ago. Yeah. Peyton quickly learned how unhappy I was at the beginning of the process to do it. But then by the end of it, it was like, all right, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Because if you just there's just something about an instruction manual and a couple of lug nuts and like little bolts that make people just, like, you just lock in. You lock in. Yeah, I did hate it. But it was fine. It's never as bad as you think.
It's not, but like the frustration sets in when you're doing couple stuff like that. It's like, well, what did you read? Well, what did you see? And it is weird. Like, it's a balance between working out with your spouse and wife or whoever and like trying to like keep the peace. Because like Jayhawk said, the aggressiveness will show up.
Yeah.
And it's hey. Yesterday was a good day, though.
I like the walks I go on with my significant other.
It was awesome. I enjoyed it yesterday. I just got to call out the pace.
Just wait till y'all start getting too competitive, and then you'll speak.
Well, no, we just we're not really competitive with each other. I don't know.
Give it time.
Just wait.
Yeah,
just wait.
Yeah. See, it was almost running. It's the only thing that.
The thing is, Peyton is content to go my pace because she gets so excited when I do decide to go on a walk with her. Because she goes on so many walks by herself, and she's like, "You're coming? Really?" And so when I walk with her, it's just like happiness. There's nothing that could be possibly wrong. It's great.
That's awesome. But see, that's the thing too. Keish, she'd be like, "Well, you going walking without me?" And I gotta look at her like, "Which pace are you bringing today?"
Yeah, fair enough.
You know what I'm saying? So I get the same stuff.
Listen, me and cardio don't get along anymore. I ran competitively for 10 years. Many of you are like, "We know, Will, shut up. You talk about it way too much."
But they don't understand. It must have.
But it's a special kind of look. Our sport is everyone else's punishment. Okay, Yeah, I didn't choose it. It chose me because it's the only thing an unathletic person can do if they want to be an SEC athlete. No, I really. I had a buddy when I started learning how to golf. He's like, "You should be good at this. You were a college athlete." No.
You know what?
Turning left and sometimes right does not correlate to hand-eye coordination.
I hate that.
I have no coordination.
So it's two people at the station that can't swim. Me and Buck. Okay, I don't know why Buck can't. Okay,
I can't tread water to save my life.
You can't?
But I can swim. No,
explain. What do you mean?
I can't tread water. My head will go under.
Swim.
Yeah, I can. When I'm moving forward, I can move.
That's a whole different.
But I can't. It's a different thing. This is not that crazy.
Okay,
I can't buoy in one spot and kick and stay. I cannot. I can go for about 5-10 minutes.
But isn't that the first thing you learn?
I'm gonna die.
First thing I learned was how to paddle.
How to paddle to get out of the water.
How to move forward, doggy paddle,
man,
freestyle, backstroke. I'm good with all that. I can swim.
You can do all of that.
I just can't tread water for more than couple minutes.
The moment that I turn my back over and start to try to tread water,
you panicking?
No, I just drown.
Yeah, no.
So that's what happened to me.
Well, I can relax as much as I want to. It does not happen.
I've told this story before. In high school, we had a cross country camp in the summers. All the cool kids go, and we did water runs where you had to in a lake tread water for 30 minutes as a part of a recovery run, so your feet aren't hitting. I would stand on a rock. I would find a rock. And I would run in place.
You scammer.
Coach, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
You scammer.
Coach, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
Boy, I had to survive.
A lot of my coaches and old teammates listen to the show all the time. I love you guys. That's the one corner that I cut consistently.
I can do that kind of treading water where I just kick my feet the whole time.
Yeah, right.
But I can't roll over on my back and just lay there.
Oh, no, I mean like kicking your feet and trying to run in the water, I will sink.
Well, that
I will die.
Me with my history with soccer, my legs work really well.
A lot of Vandy fans out there put Will in the water.
Well, no.
Take away his noodle.
Vandy man is with you in the chat. He also said that he can't do it either.
All right, back at it tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. We will be joined by Rhett Bryan in the studio. We will have takeaways from Titans OTAs. I'm going to go watch Cam Ward throw a football today, Ramon Foster.
I got to know how it is. Please report back.
I will let you know. That is tomorrow morning, 6 a.m.
Oh, what a time, man. Lucas outside the door. I guess it's time to go, Willie.
Lucas Panzika show is next.
Yeah, it is, man. But you must remember at all times, your Twitter fingers and your mic are always hot.